was convincing the world that I didn't exist.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to Unveiling This Realm with Brian Staveley and Karen B. And tonight is a special episode on something that Karen's wanted to discuss for a long time. So we won't hesitate. We'll just get right into it, and I'll let Karen take over.
Yes. First of all, good evening, everybody who's here. Thank you for joining us. And today I am going to talk about one of my most favorite subjects, but one of the subjects that I rarely ever get to talk about because unfortunately, most people in the quote unquote truther community think that talking about this subject makes other subjects look stupid, which I don't understand.
That's and I haven't looked at this topic yet, but of course I'm open, and just the fact that you're so passionate about it, obviously I think there's probably something to it, and I want to learn some stuff today. But that's a tactic that we hear along every tactic. Like, this is here to discredit the truth movement. This is here to discredit, just like Mike Adams said in that video we broke down yesterday, right? That flat Earth is there to discredit the other things that people are looking at. That's what they say to you about Bigfoot, correct?
Right. Actually, Bigfoot is what really got me into flat Earth, if I'm truly honest.
How's that?
That was my gateway to flat Earth. Because, I mean, obviously I told you that I looked into 9/11 and having that be a false narrative, the narrative that was given to us about 9/11 back in 2006. However, at the time, I didn't know how deep it was, and I thought that it was just a setup to push us into war, endless war. And so that I kind of stopped at that for a long time, and I didn't go into it any further. Fast forward a few years when I ended up moving from California to North Carolina. And when I first moved to North Carolina, within the first few months, I had my very first encounter with the forest. I call them forest people because they are people. I mean, they're known as Bigfoot or Sasquatch. You know, you can call them whatever you want, but they are people. But I had my first encounter with one back in 2011 when I first moved to North Carolina.
When you first had that encounter, right away, did you think that's what it was? Or you had no clue, and then you went back and then figured out, hey, this is probably what it was, type of thing?
Well, when it happened, okay, because I always had an interest in Bigfoot. Growing up in California, in Northern California, and everybody knows that in California and the Pacific Northwest, that is very popularly known as Bigfoot country. That's where the name Bigfoot was coined, was in Willow Creek, which is where that sighting was, where the Patterson-Gimlin film was recorded, and that is where the term Bigfoot was coined. So I always had an interest in these creatures. I always watched a lot of Bigfoot shows. I always read about them, researched them, but I never had any encounters. And after a while, because it didn't really go anywhere, or it was never really proven to be true or not, and I never saw anything, I just kind of forgot about it. Not that I ever really, had a solid opinion whether they existed one way or the other. I just kind of didn't think about it anymore for a long time. So I'd already read enough encounters, and I'd already read enough accounts about them to know that what I had experienced could be, and most likely was, attributed to a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch. So that's how.
So what happened on that first day? Was it scary? I mean, what happened? How did you come across this thing?
Okay, so the first day that I ran into a Bigfoot, it was about 11 o'clock at night, and it was here on this street where I live, but not in this house. It was the first house that we lived in, which is across the street, and it's about just a small house on about a half an acre. And so I had this dog at the time, not the same dog I have now, but another dog, this female boxer that my husband at the time had rescued off the street. I just called the word show in the chat, made me say show. I had this female boxer that my husband had rescued off of the freeway, and I was nursing her back to health. And so I was taking her out for a walk. It was like her last walk for the evening. And we had this, habit where I would walk her around the perimeter of the yard, which was surrounded by a wood line. And it was my house and then my neighbor's house. And between my neighbor's house and my house, there was about a half acre of woods, like a empty lot that was just trees. Okay, so I had my dog and I was walking towards the perimeter of the property, and the dog just stopped and was like staring into the woods, and she wouldn't move. She like froze in place. And I looked at her and I was like, what is wrong with you? And I yanked on her leash and I was like, come on, do your business so we can go inside, type of thing. And then all of a sudden, this smell filled the air, this smell of like the dirtiest, filthiest, like muskiest, wet dog smell you could ever possibly smell, but like times 100. Like it just filled the air. It was everywhere. I was just like, oh, what is that smell? And then I was like, what is that? And then she's looking in the woods and I'm smelling that smell. So I'm like looking, trying to see in the woods. And there was a street light on the edge of the road, not far, but the trees were blocking so much light that it was still dark inside the woods. So I couldn't see in there. All I could do was smell it. And then I like tried to take a few steps closer to the woods to see if I could see what was in there. And that's when I heard these two footsteps, like huge footsteps, like crunch, crunch. But it was like, obviously audibly big footsteps. Something big and heavy was inside the woods. And that's when I was like, oh my God, like my heart started beating really fast and I started freaking out. And And I don't know why I didn't. I didn't run in the house right that minute, but I didn't. I took my dog and I walked to the other side of the yard.
Well, maybe you had that feeling that you maybe knew this thing wasn't there to harm you. You knew it was peaceful, maybe.
Well, I don't know if I really knew either way, but I didn't. But yeah, I didn't run in the house. I took my dog and I just walked her to the other side of the yard to do her business, and she did. And then I walked, back inside the house, and I go to my husband. I said, "There's something outside in the woods." And he's like, "Well, what do you mean?" And so I described to him what happened, and he's all, "Well, maybe it was just a buck." And I was like, "No, I don't think so." I said, "I don't know what it was, but it wasn't a buck." Because anybody who knows, if you run up on a deer, they immediately split. They just take off. They don't want to be anywhere near you. They bolt. Okay, this thing didn't do that. It was like hanging out in the woods, stinking up the place. So anyway, that was my very first experience with them. And so once that happened, I started getting back into looking into them, and I found a Facebook group on Facebook called Team Squatchin' USA, and that is where I started getting deeper and deeper into it and looking into what they are. Then you start listening to people's accounts and stories about people running into them deep in the woods, people getting charged by them, people being chased out of the woods, hunters being chased out of the woods. Then you start, reading other stories about accounts of there being military action to hunt Bigfoot families. Okay. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I have read a couple of stories about there being SWAT teams, basically military SWAT teams that fly into the wilderness in helicopters, and they get dropped in, just like they're on some secret military mission to go hunt Bigfoot families. So that is, then you start to think, well, why would they do that? If it's just an unknown species, if it's just a relic hominid, if it's just, an undiscovered North American ape, why would the military be sending SWAT teams to try to hunt these things down? So then that's when I started looking into deeper things. And then, then that's when the tangents start coming in, the whole chemtrail thing, and then, snowballing down the hill. And then I ended up at Flat Earth.
Wow, that's a weird first way in. I mean, so I'm going to guess that like these Facebook groups about Bigfoot and the community, I guess you could say, is very, very small because we don't really see many people talking about it. I know that's like a different topic, but you don't see much of that real talking coming in front of us. It's probably pretty small, right?
Well, I guess it is because hold on. Yeah, I'm going to get into all that stuff, you guys. I see questions going in the chat. I'm going to get into all that stuff. But yeah, it's actually the group that I'm still in Facebook, that I've been in this group for 8 years. 7-8 years I've been in this group. There's probably about 11,000 members, 11,000 members. I mean, it's a decent sized group.
Oh, that ain't bad. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
There is a fair amount of people researching Bigfoot, but the thing about it, for whatever it is, for whatever reason, people who research Bigfoot seem to only research that. It's like the main guy who started this group that I joined, who, it's like one of the first Sasquatch groups where any discussion was open, because there's a lot of paranormal activity that is related to Bigfoot. And I'm sure, a lot of people may or may not have heard about it, and I'll get into it. But there's a lot of stuff that is associated with Bigfoot and the sightings that are not, it would definitely be considered paranormal or, definitely out of the ordinary, outside of what we would consider possible by our normal understanding of physics in this realm.
Yeah, but again, we're done with those rules of reality.
Yeah,
we're way past that.
Yeah, but the thing is like, you'll see stuff on TV about it, like, monster hunters or whatever, finding Bigfoot. which is associated with BFR, which is the Bigfoot Research Organization. These organizations operate under Bigfoot is a North American primate. That they're not, you know, a highly intelligent, you know, thinking and reasoning type of population, which is what they are. They're like a people. They're highly intelligent, they think and reason, and they are more advanced than we are. And most people don't, you know, they don't think about it like that. They think about it like it's like just another gorilla or something, but that's not the case. So when you watch these shows where they, you know, talk about hunting them or killing them or trapping them or going out in the midnight and hooting and hollering and banging on trees and stuff, all that stuff is bullshit. It's all bullshit. You will never, ever, ever encounter a Bigfoot doing that stuff, ever. It's never going to happen. They don't want anything to do with people who act like idiots.
I'm going to let people know, because I know there's a ton of people that are really interested in this, and people have been saying stuff all week, and people are going to have a ton of questions. We're going to have to let Karen go, like, kind of rant on a little bit, and we'll get to questions. But just one question I think you should answer, Karen, is somebody asked is there any documented cases of Bigfoot actually hurting people?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay.
There's stories where they say that they think that they try to abduct children. I don't know if that's necessarily true. There was a guy who said that he was kidnapped by a family of Sasquatch for a couple of weeks, and he didn't talk about it until like 20 years after it happened. There's all kinds of stories like that. There's a lot of stories about people who live deep in the woods all over the country, like in Kentucky, Louisiana, just all over the South and Southwest, Southeast areas, that where they ran into these creatures deep in the woods, or, you know, back in the holler, they'll say. And, you know, when they were children and stuff, and they would actually be playing with other juvenile Sasquatches on a regular basis. So there's a lot of stories like that. So,
and guys, we will open the phones later too, so people that have their own experiences and stories. I've seen a lot of people talking about that. You guys can call in later.
Yeah, I see a lot of people who are skeptical that Bigfoot is more advanced than us. They are. I'm telling you, they are. They're highly intelligent. They've been here longer than us. They know how to operate inside this realm in ways that you and I can only dream of at this point in time.
Do you think everybody can see them, or do you think it's like a thinning of the veil and only certain people can see them? Are they like actual solid creatures that have always been here? Or are they like interdimensional type of thing? I know that's kind of early to ask that question, but I mean, I'm sure.
I'll tell you this: Bigfoot will only let you see them if they want you to see them, or if you happen to sneak up on one and it thinks it's alone, and it happens to be in a physical state, in a visible state, which I have. One of the videos I have is a situation like that, where somebody walked up on one and it didn't know that anybody else was there. Clearly, it was just hanging out doing its thing, messing around, digging inside the stump of an old cypress tree in a swamp. And yeah, this guy just happened to sneak up on behind it and start recording it. So yeah, that's why Nightbot says you don't find Bigfoot, Bigfoot finds you. That's true. The guy that started the group, his first encounter was him and his family deep in the woods in the mountains. And he was up on a ridge. I don't know what he was doing, but he was walking above, looking down at his family, and he saw a Sasquatch walking in the woods towards where his family was. And he was so far away that there was nothing he could do. And he said that he just felt this immense panic come over him, because he was like, oh my God, look at this thing. It's walking towards my family. There's no way I could ever get down there fast enough. And then he saw it disappear right before his eyes. Like, it was walking and it just disappeared. And then he kept watching, like, where did it go? Where did it go? And then it reappeared again further down the trail. And that's when he really freaked out, because he was like, what is that? Because It's huge. It's massive. It's bigger than me. And it can disappear and appear at will. And now, when he started doing his research and started speaking publicly about this and his encounter, he used to never talk about the part where it disappeared. He would leave that part out.
Right.
Because he thought that people would think he was crazy. He thought that people would think he was crazy, so he left that part out. It took him years to start talking about that part and including that part and talking openly about what they call the woo or the paranormal part about Sasquatch. So, and it took another person telling him, look, I've seen these things disappear and reappear. And the weird part about that is when I was a teenager, way back when I still lived in California, I remember watching a show that was about Bigfoot. And there was the guy doing the show, the host, interviewing a man and a woman. Okay. And the man and the woman were both witnesses to Sasquatch. Now, they were both describing the same creature, but the woman said, they can disappear. I seen it disappear right before my eyes. Like I was looking at it, it was there, and then it was gone. Who's this guy?
I don't know. Don't get distracted by the chat. Keep going.
Moderators need to pay attention, please, because if I see that, it's going to distract me. Anyway, so there was a man and a woman. They're describing the same creature. And the woman said that she saw the Sasquatch disappear right before her eyes. And both the host and the other witness told her, you're out of your mind. Like, you didn't see that. You're out of your mind. And even me watching it, I was like,
so the other witness that just gave a whole testimony about this next level shit, seeing a Bigfoot, just couldn't handle the fact that it disappeared. That's why the guy doesn't talk about it.
Right. But see, that's what I'm saying. Like this, I saw this years and years before that. I saw this woman talk about it, and I thought she was crazy. I was like, what do you mean it disappeared? Like, because at the time I was, thinking it was just a regular physical being that just happened to be, living alongside of us and was undiscovered. Right. So that's what I thought. So I thought she was crazy too, talking about watching it disappear and reappear. So fast forward a few years when I have my encounter, and then I start going to this group and reading more things about it and reading more encounters and listening to podcasts and stuff, that's actually a common thing that now a lot of people will say that they were walking in the woods and they walked past a tree stump and they walk past it a few times, and then the next thing they know it stands up and it's a Sasquatch. They're like, I just thought it was a Sasquatch or a tree stump until it stood up. There's something about them. I don't know how they do it. Obviously I don't know how they do it, or else I'd be trying to do it myself, but I don't know what they do, but they have this ability to change their form from like an energy form to a cloaked form to a physical form. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of witnesses that say that they see orbs associated with Bigfoot. I've seen orbs in my woods. I've walked outside and I've heard big snaps right out here, like something stepped on a giant twig or a big stick, snapped it, and then I saw red and yellow orbs float off into the trees. I've had so many encounters. I can start going over my encounters that I've had here. But so I had that initial encounter across the street. And then we bought this property that I live on now, which is 21 acres of woods. And I used to walk through these woods before we ever cleared any of it. Before we started building here, I would come here and I would just walk in the woods. I never really had any additional encounters just walking alone here in the woods, but I used to come spend a lot of time here because, as we all know, I had a horrible marriage. I used to get in huge arguments. And so my escape would be to come over to the woods and hang out in the woods. So that's what I did. So then, we built our house here. That took about 6 to 8 months. I forget how long exactly, but So the house was built and it was finished in February, March. So we moved in March, right at the very beginning of spring of 2015, which is also the year that I got into flat earth. Now that is also, as soon as I moved in here, I started to have the encounters really got intense and frequent and really, really sort of mind blowing. My husband worked a rotating shift where he would sometimes be on nights. And so I would be here alone all night. And so sometimes I'd be, asleep, going to sleep in the bedroom, and it'd be late at night, and I would hear like tapping on the window right as I was just about to fall asleep, and I would like wake up. My eyes would be like wide open. I'd be like, did I just hear tapping on the window? And then it would stop. And then I would start to fall asleep again, and I would hear it again. I'd be like, and I'm like, okay, dude, something's tapping on the window. And I would go and I'd look out the window, and there'd be nothing there. I used to hear things hit the side of the wall. One time I was sitting here at my desk, and a rock came flying and hit the window. And I look out the window, and there's nothing there. There's nothing out there. But a rock came and hit the window, like something threw a rock, and it was broad daylight. Most of the stuff happens during broad daylight, by the way.
No, they tried to stay low key, and I know they don't mind revealing themselves to some people. Maybe they feel you're a good person or whatever, but throwing a rock, I mean, it seems like they're trying to get your attention. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. That's fake Patricia Steer, because real Patricia has a wrench, by the way. If you see a fake Patricia, delete it, because the real Patricia has a wrench here. Hold on.
Oh, we weren't going to look at the chat.
I'm trying not to, but I'm seeing stuff that other people are missing. I know, you know how I am. I'm like...
Yeah, let them do it. You guys got to fucking step it up. You mods are distracting from the show. What the fuck? Let's go. Now you took Karen right out of her rhythm. I'll call these people out. Put your wrenches to use. For Christ's sakes.
Okay. That's why I give big channels wrenches, not because I think they're going to mod my chat, but because I want to know when there's a real one and there's a fake one here. Mm-hmm. Anyway. So where was I? I lost my train of thought. Okay, so I was talking about what started happening when I moved in here.
You were talking about your husband worked at night. You were home at night, and the rock was thrown at the house. And I asked you, why does it seem like they were actually going out of their way to get you?
I think now thinking back, they were doing all this stuff because they wanted to get my attention. Because it's like they know your energy, and they know when you have good intent or ill intent. And I think that certain people they come into contact with, and they know, what you can handle, or that you're open to certain things. And I think that they just knew that that I had already had an interest in them, because I had for years. And then, I had that initial contact when I first moved here. And then, of course, I started getting back into it, and I started thinking about them again, and walking in the woods, thinking I would think about them when I walked in the woods, even though I never really had any encounters. I did find a footprint, and I took a picture of it. I thought it was a footprint, but I wasn't sure. And then I contacted someone, a researcher or an investigator, and I showed them the footprint, and they said yes, that they thought it was a legitimate Bigfoot footprint that I found in my woods. And I'll start showing you pictures of that stuff. Actually, maybe I should open that folder right now. But
yeah, how big would you say the foot is?
It wasn't massive. You guys, seriously, how many do I need to add moderators? I can't stand it when okay, maybe I should just close the chat. I'm gonna close the chat so I don't do it anymore.
I'll add a couple mods if I need to while you're talking. People that are mods on my channel. You need to just talk. Stop looking at the chat for real.
I'm not. I closed the chat. I'm opening my folder now.
We got 300 live people here right now. 300.
300.
300 people here.
Wow. That's good, though. I'm glad that there's so many people interested in watching Bigfoot stuff. Okay, so
all right. So while you're presenting, I'm going to give a couple wrenches to people I trust a lot. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay.
If I can get this to open. Why aren't you working?
What's happening?
Nothing. I'm just trying to. Oh, I see why it wasn't working, because I was trying to open video too, and that doesn't work when you try to open stuff in preview. I don't know. My computer is slow.
I know this. That's why I'm running your channel from over here, remember?
Yeah, but yours ain't that great either, to be honest.
Oh, I'm not bragging. Hey, stop fucking motherfucker. I ain't bragging about my fucking $400 laptop.
Okay. I guess I just have to do one at a time. So this is the first, I'll show you. This is the first Bigfoot print that I actually found in the woods on my property.
You're not sharing. Oh, hang on.
You have to move the banner. Take
I know.
the banner off.
Give me a second.
Okay, so right here, you can see my pointer. Okay, so here's where the toes are. And it goes all the way down, and then this is the heel. Okay, and then you can see also where it's called, what's called the mid-tarsal break, which is a signature sign of a Bigfoot footprint. And there's a guy named Dr. Jeff Meldrum who discusses all this stuff. He discusses the anatomy of the Bigfoot foot and how it's different from a human's foot, because they're so tall and their feet are big, and it's made for, you know, walking over different territory, but it's just built differently. Anyway, so this is the first footprint I ever caught. Now this was also, wasn't thinking to use anything for scale, so it's hard to tell how big it is. But at the time, this footprint is bigger than the whole boot, outside boot size of my ex-husband's foot, and he wore a size 10. So this footprint is bigger than the boot print. So it's a big footprint, but it's not like super massive, but it is big. So that's the first one I found. So let me open this other. A couple years later, on my property, it was winter time, and in the winter around here, the ground will freeze, and then the water, the moisture that's in the ground will get pushed up out of the ground. And so the ground will like have these weird like strands of frozen water that got pushed up out of the ground. I mean, it's just kind of weird looking. Anybody who lives in the South will know what I'm talking about. But I was walking my dog in the morning, and so like, are you seeing my screen yet?
Yep.
Okay, so I was walking my dog in the morning, and I walked by the wood line, and I saw this, which stuck out to me very obviously like a footprint. So like right down here, you'll see what I'm talking about, where all the moisture that was in the dirt in the ground was pushed out, right? So it looks kind of crumbly. That's what most of the ground looks like. And then this outline of a footprint was sitting there and it just jumped out to me. Like it was very obvious to me that that was a footprint.
Mhm.
So I took a bunch of pictures of it. This is me putting my finger in where the toe holes were. And you can see how these, and this is a frozen ground. Like it was freezing the night before. And you can see where there's acorn tops that have been pushed into the ground. So like right here, the acorns and the rocks and stuff were all pushed into the ground. So something heavy stepped right there and pushed all this stuff down. So, and this is, I'm using my own foot for reference. Then I went and I got the ruler to measure it. So the end of the heel is down here. So that's about 16 inches. And then at the widest part, about 8 inches.
Karen, if that ground's frozen, that thing, or even close to frozen, that thing would have to be hella heavy to put that impression like that too. Never mind just the size, right?
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's big echo I'm getting from you. So anyway, that is that's the best footprint that I've ever found. I've seen others, but that to me, that one was the best one. And you can see all the rocks and stuff, all pushed, everything pushed into the ground right there. Now, around my property, there's a lot of leaf litter and stuff. There's a lot of grass. So it's, you know, it's not really ideal for catching footprints, but I will see footprints of just about everything here. I have a fox that lives on my property, everything, all kinds of stuff everywhere. Now, another thing that happened on my property, when I very first moved here this first year, most of this stuff happened the first year. I was outside watering the grass because, you know, we had just cleared all the land and they'd planted grass seed all around the house to try to grow a lawn. So I was out there watering it, trying to get the grass to grow in the springtime. And I was out there and my daughter was with me and she was 3 years old and she's standing there next to me and she grabs my leg, like death grip, grabs my leg and she goes, excuse me. She goes, "Mommy, there's a Bigfoot over there. Don't let it get me." And I said, "What?" And I looked up to where she was looking at and I didn't see anything. And I thought, that's really weird. And I said to her, I just said to her, you know, "Don't worry, Mommy's here. I'm not going to let anything happen to you." So I just went about my business and I kept watering the grass. Well, the next thing, and this was on a summer day, you know, very warm, no breeze. The trees were not moving at all. There was no breeze. It was hot. You know, it was just a typical southern summer day, humid, no wind. So after that happened, after she said that, I have another screen share. Right about 100 feet from the house, inside the wood line, I saw a tree shaking. Like the top of the tree was shaking violently. Like, and I could hear it cracking. Like I heard it go crack, 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 crack. And I saw the top of it shaking and I stopped watering and I was like, why is that tree moving like that? And then I thought, you know, and I was like, oh my God, my daughter just told me that she saw a Bigfoot and now there's this tree violently shaking inside the wood line. And that is something that a lot of people, a lot of witnesses have seen, is trees being shaken, big trees being violently shaken in the woods by these creatures. So after it happened, I went into the woods and this is the tree that was being shaken by the Bigfoot. And this is a big tree. It was about 40 feet tall. Now this tree was dead, but it had just died. I tried to shake it myself. I couldn't get it to move. So it wasn't like rotten. It wasn't you know, about to fall over. This is me putting my foot up to the base of the tree to show how big the tree was. You know, so
we got a super chat. Thank you, Joseph Paul. Thank you so much for that.
Oh, thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, he gave you $20. That's very generous.
Oh, awesome. Did he have a comment or?
North Carolina Coastal Plains believes. I don't know if that's an area of North Carolina or if that's a group.
Sweet.
NP Coastal Plains believes, he said. I'll put that up.
Yeah, actually, later on, I have some I have testimony from somebody who lives in Western North Carolina, where I live, about Bigfoot. So this is the tree. This thing was violently shaking, this tree. I brought my husband out to it and I told him what happened. And I said, this is the tree. I said, will you try to shake this tree? You know, and he was trying to shake it and he was trying to get it to move and he couldn't get it to budge. Okay. And now where I live, you know, people say, well, could it have been a bear? I didn't see a bear that day. And where I live, bears aren't typically seen. Bears live more in the mountains. I live about 100 miles from the mountains. So not that bears have never been out here. I'm not going to say that doesn't ever happen because it has, but I did not see a bear. I didn't see any bear prints. I did not see any bear poop. I mean, and this was broad daylight. This was not in the darkness. If it was a bear, I'm pretty sure I would have seen it. And I don't think my daughter would have said, hey, there's a Bigfoot. I think she would have said, hey, there's a bear.
Now, when you had your husband out there shaking the tree, did he believe in Bigfoot already at the time, or did he think you were fucking nuts, or what was he thinking?
No, he thought I was crazy. Okay. Anytime I ever brought up any of this stuff to him, he always thought I was crazy. He didn't like me talking about any of this stuff. He'd always say, I just want to take the blue pill. He didn't want any part of it. Other things that you'll see, let me open these other pictures. A lot of things that people will see associated with Bigfoot when they go in the woods, they'll see structures. Typically what they'll show is X's. They like to put trees in X's across trails to leave as markers. Where did my thing go? Hold on, I gotta share. So this is also on my property. This is an X structure that was up for a very long time. Now, if you look at this, there's this piece of a pine tree is leaning up against a young, living tree. And then up against that is a much older, almost rotten piece of wood. So obviously this was placed that way. I didn't place it that way. Nobody ever comes on here. But anyways, I took a lot of pictures of this because I considered that to be, and look, like you can see, like right here, these two little branches are wedged to make it so that it stays up here. Wow. So that was one of those structures. Then you'll see stuff like this, like trees that are twisted and bent over. Just things that you might not take a second look at it if you're not used to walking in the woods, but they're things that they don't look like they happened by themselves. This right here is my mom and I were walking through the woods and we found this laying in the trail when we were on our way back to the house. This is a branch it was green. It was freshly broken off one of the trees and then tied in a knot. And it was just laying in the trail.
Wow. That's crazy, huh?
Yeah. I mean, and there was nobody between us and the house, so it was like, because they'll leave you stuff. They'll leave you things to know that they're there. They leave stick glyphs. They leave, just clues or things that really you would only notice if you were walking your daily trail or you lived on the property and, you knew what was there and wasn't there. If you live somewhere, you get very used to your surroundings and when something was put there and when something is just fallen. Okay, but this was tied into a knot. This was green wood that was freshly broken off the tree and then tied into a knot and placed in the middle of the trail. So that was one of the times that they left.
Casey asked did you keep it? Did you keep that stake? Did you keep some of these little things? I mean, you could probably carry that little one. Obviously, you can't take the pine trees back in your house, but
yeah, I don't have this anymore, but I did have it for a while. But I don't have it anymore. Didn't last very long. I mean, things like they don't last super long.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's some of the things that I've found and seen on my property that I consider that to be gifts from or clues from the Sasquatch that live here. They've also shown up in my dreams. A lot of people have accounts of them showing up in your dreams. Actually, Les Stroud, if anybody knows who the Survivor Man is,
No.
you don't know who? Okay, well, Les Stroud is the guy who used to do the show Survivor Man on, I think it was Animal Planet, where he would go out by himself and he would record himself, alone in the wilderness doing all these, in these different locations. Well, he has done a lot of these survival things out in like the Pacific Northwest or in Canada, in very heavily wooded areas. And he has had quite a few experiences with them too. He didn't talk about it for a long time, but he did. He's even had mind speak, which is where they telepathically talk into your head, and he heard them talk. And you can look it up. Like, I won't play all his stuff, but if you want to listen to his account of it, his name's Les Stroud, LESSTROUD, and just put Les Stroud Bigfoot, and you'll see all his stories that he talks about. But he heard one, he saw one shaking a tree, he heard it in the woods. There was a time where he was walking, and he said he heard in his head, he heard them say, "We're just over here on the next ridge. If you want to come see us, come over here." And he was like, "You know what? I'm not ready." And so he didn't go over there. So it's like, that's why I'm saying, like, if they don't want you to see them, you won't. Or if they think that they're going to scare you, or if they don't want to scare you, then they won't reveal themselves to you. Because there have been times when I've been out there, and it's like, and this is another thing that you'll hear people talk about. Like, they're just like, I felt like I was being watched in the woods. I felt like the presence of something there. And I felt that obviously many, many times. And there've been times when I've been out there and I'm just like, I want to see one. I want to see it. Right. But then I get scared and I go, you know what? No, I don't want to see it. And so, I haven't seen like a full on, what they call a Class A sighting, where there's like a big hairy thing standing there. But I have seen them. I've seen them in their cloaked form, and I've seen hints of them in the physical form, but I haven't seen like them a full on one facing me, like standing face to face. But one time I had my dog was right here barking out my back door. And this is, again, full in the daylight. A lot of this stuff happens in the daylight. And I'm going to get to what happened when Cammie came over here this summer too, because that was really crazy. But
oh yeah, I remember him.
They liked Cammie. But so the dog was barking at the back doors, and he was going nuts. And I was like, what is he barking at? So I go and I look out there, and I don't see anything, and he's just barking like crazy, going nuts. And so I go out the back door and I leave him in the house, and I go walk out the porch, and I start looking around the yard, and I look to the left, and I see, very briefly, very quickly, I see what looks like a figure of a man walk into the woods, like a shadow man. Okay. Walking into the woods. And I'm like, what? I'm like, hello? Because again, I live in the dead center of 21 acres, and I can't see anybody's house from my house. And if I see someone from my house, they're trespassing. Like, if I can see you in my yard, you're trespassing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, who's that? And I'm thinking there's somebody on my property, and so I go down there, and I'm like, go in the woods, and I'm like, hello. I'm like, is somebody there? And I just stood there looking into the woods, and I was like, I didn't see anything. There wasn't anything there. And then the next thing I know, I hear this crazy, insane howl come from the woods, like howl/scream sound. Like, I couldn't even begin to try to imitate it, but it was just this crazy, like, howling, yelling sound. And it was freaking loud. And I was like, what the hell is that? And then the next thing I know, something internet go. I hear something. Okay. I hear something running up the hill, because it's like, you look out my hill and you go out my backyard, and there's like, it's flat for a little bit, but then it goes down the hill to down. There's a creek area down on the backside of my property. So I hear something running, kind of laterally from my right to my left, which is towards the power line, across the hill, kind of up the hill, but more along the side of the hill. And I hear it, and it's like pounding, but it sounds like it's on all fours. Now, another thing about these creatures is they are just as comfortable traveling on all four as they are on two legs. They'll do both. And there's a lot of eyewitness accounts of them on all four. So I believe I didn't see it 100%, but what it sounded like to me was that this thing was on all fours, and it was huge because I could hear it pounding the ground down the hill. And I just saw the very top of, I guess, what would be its head. I'm not sure. Just go, across my sight down towards the power line. And I just remember standing there thinking, what am I looking at? Like, what am I watching happen right now? And it was, it was a trip, but at the same time, none of this stuff had ever made me scared. At no time was I ever afraid or felt threatened or, felt intimidated. Never, ever. Even when it was shaking a tree, I was just kind of like, oh, that's weird. Why is the tree shaking? And then I was like, oh my gosh, there's a Bigfoot over there, probably, whatever. But it's just, and a lot of these things happen, like I said, during the day. So that was one of the more interesting encounters that I had early on. I've also walked out at night to let my dog out for his last walk of the night. And I remember being out just right here outside my driveway, and it was really kind of quiet. And then all of a sudden, I could hear in the power line, like in the wood line close to the power line, something running through the woods, like charging. Like it just sounded like some huge massive animal was charging through the woods and just knocking stuff out of its way as it was running, like crash, snap, just, and it was really, really loud. And I was thinking, dang, that sounds like something huge running through the woods right now. So I've heard that. And then, like I've said, I've seen orbs. And then the tapping of the window. Oh, let me get back. I got off track. I didn't finish my story about the dream. So there was one time when I was sleeping in the bedroom down here, in my oldest son's room, but my son was staying with his dad at the time. So I was sleeping in that room down there, and I had a dream where there was a Sasquatch standing next to the window. And it was so tall that the top of its head was at the top of the window, which if you go, I have big windows. So if you go to the outside of the house, that top of the window is probably like at least 8 or 9 feet off the ground. So this thing in my dream was like leaning on the window like this, like it had its hand up like this, and it was leaning on the window and it was going, hello, hello, which just sounds really silly, right? Like, but that's what it was doing. And I heard its voice, in my dream, hello, like a very deep sounding voice. And then that was it. That was the whole dream. That was not very exciting, but that was it. So then I thought, well, gosh, that seems so real. And I've heard about people having them in their dreams before. In fact, Les Stroud talked about how he had one in his dream where he had a dream that it was like sitting on his chest or something like that. But he has this crazy story about one being in the dream. And then he had another encounter the next day. But so I went out on the outside of the house, and I start looking for signs that there was something outside the window or something that was standing there, right? And I look and I'm like, okay, well, something could have been standing there, but it's not really sure. But then I look up at that very corner where the hand of the creature was. And here in the South, anybody who lives here knows that we have tons of what's called red clay dirt. I mean, it's red dirt. It looks like freaking tomato sauce. If it rains and it gets all soupy, it looks like tomato sauce. It's that type of dirt, clay, whatever. So anyway, there was a big old smudge of red clay dirt right on that corner in the very spot where that creature's hand was in my dream. And I was like, that's really weird. Why would there be red clay to the corner of the house, right in that spot? Like it doesn't make sense. Nobody can reach that. I can't reach that. Nobody I know can reach that high. So that was another thing that happened. All right. Okay, let me go into chat.
Eric DeLoyne just gave a $10 super chat, and if you guys give super chat, I'll definitely read it on the screen as long as it's not anything insulting to somebody. I should start doing that on my channel too. I don't know why I don't. Never thought of that.
Karen, would you talk about why it seems Bigfoot reveal themselves more to women than men? Why? I don't know. And is that the case? I don't know that that's necessarily the case, but it could just be because women are less threatening. I mean, if you think here, because I have a whole theory as to why we don't get very good video of them, why people don't get good picture of them, because I believe 100% that the Patterson-Gimlin film is legit. It's been analyzed over and over and over again. Any researcher you talk to will say that that is like the 100% go-to legit Bigfoot film. And that was the one that was filmed in 1967 with the Super 8 camera in Willow Creek in California. Now, after that film, what do you think happened? There was a bunch of crazy people that went into the woods with guns trying to hunt Bigfoot. Okay, so I think once that happened, they were like, oh, screw this. We can't show ourselves to these people anymore because, look, they're coming in the woods and they're trying to kill us now. They're coming in here with guns. They're acting crazy. You know, screw this. Don't reveal yourself to them anymore. So that's why I think after that one film, there weren't too many other films. There's a few. We'll start going through them in a minute. But I don't know why. If I would have to say that maybe it's because women aren't typically in the woods hunting. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, but I mean, could it maybe women are more emotional than men or something? Couldn't it be like some sort of a reason they think women are more like open to sensing them or something? I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching.
Yeah, I don't know. How Kristen Springer says, Karen B, how do you not get scared or anxiety? I don't know. I just don't feel threatened. They never did anything to threaten me. I never was intimidated. I don't know. I can't explain it. They just have a good energy. And so I never felt threatened, and I never felt the need to be scared. I just didn't.
How about this? Since I need to take my 5 minutes, but you want to answer questions, why don't you answer questions in the chat? Because they're just coming in fast. I'll take my 5 minutes. That way we don't need a break, and I'll come back, and then we'll stop playing videos.
Okay.
All right?
All right, that's cool.
Is that good with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, you just talk to the chat, answer questions, or whatever.
Yeah, I will do that. Karen B. Effie Mowry says, do you think they might be scared of us because they've seen them harm some of humanity has caused? I don't think they're scared of us. I think most of it is that they just can't be bothered to talk to most of us because most people are just not enlightened. They're just, people have been so dumbed down. People have been so just separated from who we are and what we're really supposed to be. And this is sort of like why I think they try to hide the existence of these creatures for us. This goes back to like, why would the military be hunting these creatures? Why would they be trying to get rid of them? Actually, the guy that does a lot of the research, the guy who heads up the group, he had a regular interaction area. He called it the Southern Oregon Interaction Area, where he would take people and they would go and they would interact with a family of Sasquatch there. He just had to shut it down because of government interference. Okay, so they, for whatever reason, don't want people interacting with these creatures. And I don't know. And, well, I have an idea why. But for some reason, they just don't. Am I familiar with Sasquatch Chronicles? Yeah, I love Sasquatch Chronicles. Okay. NC pilot guy here. Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. We'll get into since I've already talked about a lot of my experiences and stuff with Sasquatch, what we'll get into now is we'll get into some video, we'll get into some eyewitness accounts of, especially from these people who go to these habituation areas, because a lot of people will talk about their accounts and they're like, I think that, you know, this thing was like looking at it like it wanted to kill us, like it wants, you know, to hurt us. I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think what it is that people see something that they don't understand, and so they're afraid of it. You know, and it's something that is as big and intimidating as a creature like this. I could see why they would just, you know, just immediately think that they had some sort of ill intent or that they were malicious. You know, that's understandable because, you know, if you don't understand something and you see it and it's big and it's intimidating and it's scary looking compared to what you're normally used to seeing, well, then you're going to think that it's, you know, out to get you. You're going to be afraid for your life. But that's not what they're about. They're totally not about that at all. They live alongside us in this realm, and they have lived alongside us here forever. I mean, they've been here the whole time. Yeah, but that's true, Darren. Okay, here's the other part of that though. They are a people and they have their own personalities. Some are going to have them be more patient with us than others. Some are going to be less patient. Some are going to be crankier. Some are going to be nicer. So they do have different personalities and different dispositions, just like people do. Would it be logical to assume that the original caveman concept of presupposed humans' early past was inspired upon the Bigfoot creature phenomena? It's possible, Arwen. That's possible. A lot of and here's the thing too. There's a guy getting echo off. There's this man. His name's Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and he's works as a professor at, I think, Iowa University, and he is an anthropologist. He studies anatomy, and he's got probably the biggest collection of Bigfoot casts anywhere. And he's been studying their casts for a long time. Now, I don't know that he's ever had his own encounter with one, but he is a staunch believer that they actually do exist just based off of the physical evidence of the foot casts that he has collected and studied over the years. Because when you have a creature or a species, okay, they follow what is called the logarithmic curve of growth or development, okay, where they, you know, you get a high in, the curve goes up very steep very early on, like your growth, and then it teeters out, okay? So him mapping all these feet, these footprints and the growth of them and the structure of them, they follow what is considered the logarithmic curve of a species, any sort of species that can breed and grow just like anything else. Scrabble Bear says, thoughts on dogmen? I've had 2 dreams about them. I've heard of dogmen. I've heard of people that have seen dogmen. I have not seen a dogman.
Jen's done a bunch of videos on that.
That I haven't seen. But yeah, I've heard of a lot of people talking about them and have been witnesses of them. I don't know.
Whoever that is that brought that up, check True Seeker 69's channel. She literally been talking about that for months.
Yeah. Also, anybody who says that they've killed a Bigfoot or they have a Bigfoot body or they have, or they say that they've got one, they're a liar. They're a liar. No man can kill a Bigfoot. You can't do it. They're just too advanced. I don't know what it is, what they can do, but they can, like I said, they can change their vibration. They can become visible and invisible. They can change their energy form. There is no way a stupid human with a gun is going to kill a Bigfoot. It just is not going to happen. Anybody who says that is a liar.
How old do you think they live to be?
I have no idea. Probably pretty old. Karen, do you think BF is a spirit being or all physical? Both. Both. But they have some ability, like I said, to change their vibration. They even the sounds that they use, like there's a video. If you go on my channel and playlist, I have a Bigfoot playlist. There's a channel called CBS Calling All Bullshit. That's a flat earth channel. It's the only other flat earth channel I know that does Bigfoot videos, and they do a really good job. But they have a video about Bigfoot, and do they use infrasound, because they are able to create all sorts of different sounds in really, really different frequencies. I mean, they can shake your insides. Can you determine Bigfoot gender by sight? I think you can, because Patty had breasts. If you look at the Patterson Gimlin film, she was a female. She had breasts. So I think you can. And I think the males are bigger. Why would anyone even want to kill one? I hope you're... Yeah, I don't know. Because they're scared. Because people are scared. Or they think they're going to get rich and famous because they finally bagged a Bigfoot. Right? That's what they think. And this is another reason why they don't want anything to do with people, and why they probably intimidate hunters, because you go in there with that energy like you're hunting something. And so they, for them, it's like you're going into their house with a gun looking for something to kill. And they're like, you know what? Get out of my house. My husband and I were watching some show on Netflix about this where the guy had photos. What do you think of that documentary? I don't know what one you're talking about. But I know that no one's killing a Bigfoot. Oh, and that's the other thing that I just remembered. Could Bigfoot be a remnant of fallen angel narrative? I don't know what they are. I don't know where they came from. There's different ideas about where they came from. The researcher that I follow has this book where he talks about it. I can tell you where he thinks they came from, where he says that they told him they came from. I don't believe it. I don't agree with it. I think that they told him a story based on what his idea of this realm is. Because again, a lot of these people who research this, they are not into anything else paranormal, supernatural, conspiratorial. They don't think the earth is flat. In fact, this guy's blog, the very first entry in his blog is "The earth is not flat and Bigfoot is real." As if it's like some new revelation. Like, yeah, welcome to the 21st century. The earth's not flat, and guess what? Bigfoot's real. Okay. Yeah. But obviously we don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't know what this realm is. I don't know where we live. I don't know what's outside what we know, what our known realm is. And I think that maybe when he asked them where they were from, they told him in terms that he could understand, because they are caring. They care about us. They're protectors. They're actually very malevolent. Like they don't want to hurt anybody. They don't want to upset anybody. That could also be another reason why they hide from us, because they know that they are scary to us. Has Bigfoot ever killed a human? No, I don't know of any time where a Bigfoot has actually ever killed a human. No, they don't. They don't want to kill anybody. That's not what they're about. So anyway, one of the biggest sightings that ever happened with this group out in the woods is they did witness, and they aren't the only ones, but they witnessed portals, literal portals being opened in the woods, where it was like an orangish, reddish light that opened up, and then they saw creatures going in and out of this light, and you could see into the portal and see that there was like a different dimension there. So they are interdimensional. So when you see one walking and you don't see it walking, or the accounts of people who say they see one and they follow it, and the next thing they know, it disappears. it could be that they went into another dimension. You don't know, because like, look on the back of the book, it's got the picture, the depiction of their of the event that they witnessed, that there were multiple witnesses of them going in and out of portals. Okay, and they're not the only ones. I actually just listened to a podcast today on the Sasquatch Chronicles channel of a guy who here in Western North Carolina, where I live, he saw a portal opening and closing after having an encounter with these creatures. So, you know, they tell this guy that they came from another world where they had a dying son. And so they came here to live with us because our Earth was still alive. You know, I don't know if that's necessarily true. Obviously, I don't think that they're traveling through wormholes in space. I also don't know that that's not necessarily true. I mean, who knows? Who really knows what this world is and how it works? You know, I mean, there's people who have come into contact with grays. You know, just because we don't think that we live on a spinning ball in an infinite vacuum of space, that we don't believe in the heliocentric model, like what they tell us, doesn't mean that there aren't other worlds, other realms. And it doesn't mean that there aren't creatures that are able to travel in between them and we can't. And that's part of what they're hiding from us. See, this is why I think there's a lot of parallels between Bigfoot and Flat Earth, because they can't hide from us the fact that we don't live on a spinning ball, because we can all go out and we can do our own tests and we can see for ourselves that what they told us about this world is a lie. Okay. Now, they can lie to us about it. They can trick us into believing it's something else, but they can't hide it from us. Okay. So it's just like Bigfoot. There's too many people who have experiences. There's too many people who are eyewitnesses. There's too many people who interact with these creatures on a regular basis. I interact with them on a regular basis, not to the level that some of these other people do, but I've had so many encounters. I've had encounters that I haven't even told y'all about yet. So they can't hide the existence of these creatures from us, but they can lie about it. Just like that's why they'll put these stupid, you know, Finding Bigfoot shows on, or mountain monster hunters.
Just like any other topic, just like they touch any other conspiracy on TV. It's mad bullshit. I mean, everybody should know that.
Exactly. Okay. So they can make you scared of them. They can make you think that they're going to hurt you. They can make you think they're going to kill you. They can make you think that they're, you know, whatever. They can tell you all these kind of horror stories about these creatures so that you are too afraid to go and talk to them. But if you know, so many people who have encountered these creatures who were afraid at first, okay, but then they sort of walk through that fear and then they start interacting with them on a regular basis, they all end up saying, you know what? These are not evil beings. They're kind and they're caring. Okay, so let's get into some of the other stuff.
Videos?
Yeah.
I'll go to the show prep list you gave me. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me look at the list and all.
Okay. See the list?
Let me look at my list. Where is... How come I'm not seeing my prep list? I see Bigfoot list, but I don't...
That's the list you gave me.
It just says Bigfoot?
You gave me one link to a playlist. That's the list you gave me. Whatever you need me to play, just give it to me. But that's what you gave me. You gave me that's the list you gave me.
Well, let me see. Yeah, that's not the right list. Hold on.
Wow.
I thought I sent you the... Hold on.
Sorry, guys. Amateur hour.
Playlists on YouTube have been messing with me lately. That's not the... No. No, the one I sent you is called Show Prep.
That's the list that was just on the screen. Show prep.
Oh, then that's the right list. I said, I see one called Bigfoot, and you're like, well, that's the one you sent me.
No, the list that was on the screen was from your channel, and it said show prep.
Okay, that's what I was looking for, Show Prep, and you told me it was the Bigfoot list.
Well,
I have a Bigfoot playlist, and I have a Show Prep list, so I was confused. Anyway.
See? Look. This is what you sent me. There's all these Bigfoot videos with the SpaceX video on top that you told me to ignore, remember?
Yeah. Okay, so first play the Patterson-Gimlin stabilized.
All right, this one. There's two Patterson-Gimlin stabilized. There's the stabilized 10/20/67, and then there's the 4K stabilized color. Oh yeah, you want the
4K stabilized color, but don't put the sound on.
Okay.
So you can fast forward that one a little bit until it gets to the actual video. Because really, I just want people to see the Patterson-Gimlin film. I mean, most people have seen it, but just so you know what we're talking about, this is like the first real video of a Sasquatch. This is what they call Patty. And then you can see right there, you can see where she's got like what look like breasts. So that's, she is considered to be a female. And then you can visibly tell that she's a female from watching that video. And a lot of people say that that's a costume or someone in a suit, but you can see muscle definition. You can see where she's got an injury on one of her legs. I mean, they analyzed it. This guy is how he's talking about, he's been painting animals, and Brian walked away, but he's talking about how he paints animals and humans, and he knows the anatomy really well. So he feels like, he's qualified to analyze this footage, which many people have done. And everybody says that it's legit. And people who want to try to say it's fake, but nobody has ever been able to recreate this to a satisfactory level to show where it could be faked. It's just not fake. It's real. So that's the first real legit Bigfoot video.
Where was this filmed? I'm sorry, I had to step away. I had to get the dog.
This one is the one that was filmed in Willow Creek in Northern California. Okay, so that's the first legit Bigfoot film. Now there's another one. Hold on. While that's playing, I will. The other. Okay, so now if you want to click on the one that says Pennsylvania White Bigfoot Breakdown and just skip ahead to like the 1 minute and a half mark and just let it play with the sound off.
Okay.
See, Toady UK. Patty convinces me because why, if you were faking this, would you make a costume and then add breasts? It just wouldn't hear any figure. Yeah, I know. So this is another video that was taken where this guy was walking through the woods with a flashlight, and he sneaks up on one, flashes the flashlight in its face, and it dips out really quick. This one is also considered to be a real video, but I added this to the list to show that they come in different colors. They're not just black. They're red. They're brown. They're gray.
Is that a white one?
Yeah, this is a white one, and this is from Pennsylvania.
Whatever the fuck that's scary. Whatever that is. Oh man,
it does look scary, right? But yeah, they come in different colors.
Peace out. I'd be running from that. I don't care what you say about him. I'd be out. I'm serious. I'd be gone.
Sorry, Michael. Now, if you want to play the original video with the sound on, because it's kind of funny to watch it. It says Bigfoot caught on tape at night. It's the 34-second one.
Yeah, I got you.
That's
yeah,
no
so
shit.
play that one, put the sound on, because it's
Yeah,
funny. He's cruising through the woods, and then he sees that thing, and he's like, "What was that?" Some of these are funny.
Yeah, fuck that.
Right? Okay, so that's a good one. That's a good legit Bigfoot video. Okay, now there's another one. Now go to the I think I saw a skunk ape, please help.
Volume or no volume?
Yeah, put the volume on because it's funny. Yeah. There's the Mississippi skunk ape is the analysis, and then there's I think I saw a skunk ape, please help. And this is the dude that I was talking about where he's walking in the swamp and he sees one digging into an old cypress tree stump. Is the sound on?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's watching it and recording it, and then the thing stands up and the dude freaks out and starts running.
I see it. I wouldn't even have the courage. I would literally just turn the other way.
I know, but sometimes this stuff is happening and it's like it doesn't even seem real.
Yeah, you like run on adrenaline. Look at this motherfucker.
Right? So it's like popping big chunks of wood out of the cypress tree, almost like it's digging for grubs or something. I don't know what it's doing. He watches it for a good while, though.
Yeah.
See, then it stands up and he's like, I'm out. But Paul Freeman. Okay, this is the other one. You can play this one without sound. Just let it play. But Paul Freeman is a man who, where was he living? He was living, I think, in the Pacific Northwest. But anyway, he was a guy who was working in a park, a national park there. And he used to see this clan of Bigfoot all the time. He would see footprints all the time. And so here, he records one. And actually, if you rewind it a little bit and you hear the sound, he's like, I hear twigs snapping. And then he goes, oh, there it goes. But this is also considered, like, after Patty, probably the second best footage caught of a Bigfoot.
I hear the brush popping and stuff. Oh, there he goes. Jesus. Get up here where I can see me quick.
Okay, you can turn it down now. So those are my most favorite clips of Bigfoot. You can find other ones, but those I think are the ones that are the most legit. Now, if you can go to Bigfoot caught in stealth mode.
Okay.
Bigfoot caught in stealth mode. Now this is this was recorded by a researcher named Scott Carpenter, who actually lives not far from where I live. I think he's in Tennessee.
Volume or no volume?
Just play it. Just play it without volume because he has. I don't think he talks very much in there anyway. He puts text. Scrabble Bear. Have you seen the vid of Bigfoot on a golf course trail cam? It looked like it was eating grubs from a tree stump. No, I haven't seen that, but it could. I might have just missed that one. There's also a lot of hoaxing that goes on in Bigfoot, and I'll talk about that a little bit too. Okay, but see how this guy's. This is what I talk about when you see that they're in a cloaked form, where it's like you see the outline of the figure, but you don't actually see the figure. And yes, it is just like the movie Predator. It's just like that.
Did Mike Adams come by and drop off one of those NASA warp bubbles around it?
No kidding. But in this video, you know, he'll point to a brush where like, okay, it's not moving. There's no wind. So he says, note the visual distortion in this area. It might be hard for people to see. Maybe I should just put the link. People can go watch it themselves. This is kind of hard to see. But in this video, if you watch it, there's one standing in front of the bush, and it looks like the bush is moving. Like he'll say, look at the bush moving, even though there's no wind. But here's the thing. It's not that the bush is moving. It's that the light is refracting through it. See how the distortion? So it's not that the bush is moving. It's that it's like you're looking through almost like a crystal. When you look through a crystal and you see, you can see the image, but it's not where it really is. That's what happens when they're in that cloaked form. It's like you can see through them, you can see what's behind them, but it's different. The light is refracted in such a way where you can see the outline of them. That's how you know where they are. And that is what I saw when Cammie was here. That was the first time I saw one in a cloaked form, because I don't know what happened, but Cammie came to stay at my house for a couple of weeks over the summer in June. She showed up, and the first day she was here, we were standing in the backyard, and I heard them talking. She was talking to me, and I said to her, I interrupted her. I was like, Cammie, I can hear something talking. And I said, do you hear that? And we just both got quiet, and I could hear the voices, because I've heard them talk before. That's another thing that has happened when I've been here. I've been standing in my backyard and I hear like a mumbling voice, like just inside the woodline, like blah, 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 blah. You know, it sounds almost like a native language, but it's like being produced by a obviously very low, deep man voice. So, I've been out here and I've heard them talking. My mom's been here and heard them talking. My aunt came here from Colorado. She went walking in my woods and she came back and she was like, I thought I heard a man talking in the woods. And I was like, that's them. So Cammie was here and they started talking. They were like running around. I kept seeing flashes out of the corner of my eye. Yeah, see, Cammie can tell you the entire forest came alive. It was special, right? It did come alive. It was more than one. It was like there was a group of them, and I don't know why they got all excited about Cammie and her energy, but she came here and they were just like talking, running through the woods, I saw them right by the porch, like out of the corner of my eye, like you see it. Okay. But they're in a cloaked form. It's not like it's a full on figure, like hairy beast running around. They're cloaked, but you can see them and then once you see one, then when they're around and they start running around, you see them right away. You see them immediately. So that's what started happening. And I was standing there talking to her, and I even told her, I said, I'm looking at one right now. And I was looking into the woods, and just inside the wood line, I could see the shape of a humanoid form. Okay. But it was just like when you look at when they watch that movie, The Predator, right? It was clear. And the light was around it. And that's the only way that I knew that that the form was standing there. But I was sitting there looking at it, and it was like, man, it was almost surreal. Like I told Cammie, I said, I'm looking at it right now. I'm watching it. And it was moving back and forth. Like it was all excited. And you'll hear people who witness them talk about it. They're going to, oh, like it's moving back and forth. They'll sway back and forth. And that's what this one was doing, but in a cloaked form. So it was sitting there swaying back and forth like it was excited. And none of this is ever, like I said, it was never scary. It was never intimidating. It was always fun. And then another time, her and I were sitting by the wood, by my fire pit, just sitting there on the benches that I've made there. And she smoked cigarettes. And Cammie will remember this. We had this big crash, like right next to us. Like it was something made a whole bunch of noise in the bushes right next to us, but you couldn't visually see it. But we heard it. It was right there. And Cammie goes, hi. And they were just running in and out of, running in and out of the woods, just being very playful. It was very playful. Karen, what does everyone think of Bigfoot Ontario? I don't know. From what I remember, I think Bigfoot Ontario had some kind of shady stuff. There's a lot of hoaxing that goes on in the Bigfoot world.
What is Bigfoot Ontario? Is that just like is that a meetup of Bigfoot people in the Ontario
No, it's just a channel. It's just a channel. Like a lot of
okay. YouTube channel, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you just have to go watch them and decide for yourself. I remember watching some of their stuff and thinking, I don't know that it's legit. Although that was years ago. I might have a different opinion now because now I know a lot more about the supernatural, quote unquote, supernatural abilities that these things have. Now, we say supernatural. I think it is actually natural, but we've all just been sort of educated out of thinking that this stuff is a natural ability for these creatures. But I think that it's all very natural. It's all, this is how the realm is supposed to operate. This is how these things are supposed to work in this realm. So I don't think it's supernatural. I think it's very natural for them. It's just foreign to us because we're told that this stuff isn't real, that it can't happen this way, that physics doesn't work like that, so who knows? Okay.
Check out the screen.
Have you ever tried leaving gifts like polished stones or apples? I've left some crystal. I have a whole bunch of crystalline rocks around my property. So I've left stuff like that laying around. One time, okay, I used to have this flare-up of eczema on my hand. One time I was having a little bit of an eczema flare-up on my hand, and I was walking around my house, and I come back, and there is a pile of herbs laying right in my walkway where I always walk, right around my house. It wasn't there when I walked out initially. I came back, and there it was. Okay. So what I didn't know what the herb was, and I picked it up and I was like, what is this? So I go online, I took a picture and I go online trying to identify it. It turns out that it was chickweed, which is a natural remedy or an herbal remedy for eczema.
So it was trying to help you out.
So they were leaving me a gift. Yeah. So they're definitely healers. And we'll play another clip where you can play it with the sound on. A lot of people have had experiences where they start to habituate a group or a clan of these creatures, and they get scanned. It's called being scanned or zapped.
I'm sorry. I know this is going to sound stupid, but I don't know what habituate means. What's that word mean?
It just means that you go and you interact with them regularly.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's all it means. It's a habit. You're habituating. You know, it's just a regular interaction between you and them. Like how dogs and owners are happy so they run around. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It was all very just when Cammie here, I mean, that was the best. It was the best. I want to do that again. Come over again this summer. They're way more active in the summertime. Okay, so anyway. People that go and have regular interactions with these creatures, they talk about what happens where they experience something where they get scanned or zapped, where they feel like this energy going through their body. I've actually experienced that. I was sitting out by my fire pit, the same place where I was just talking about where Cammie and I were sitting, where we heard them making a bunch of noise there. I was out there by myself and I was just laying there, and I felt from the neck down, like my head was okay, but from my neck down, I felt this vibration through my entire body. And I just sat there and just sort of, and it went on for a few minutes, and nothing bad ever happened. Again, I never felt scared, but I just felt this weird vibration, and it was like where it started and stopped was very specific. Like it was like from the neck down, I felt the vibration, but from the neck up, I didn't. So they do that. I don't know how they do it, but they will do things where they scan you. No, I wasn't frozen or anything like that. It wasn't like sleep paralysis or anything like that. It wasn't anything bad. But anyway, a lot of people talk about how they'll scan you, and if they find something wrong with you, they will actually do. This is why at the beginning of this book, he's got the quote from Tesla. If you want to know the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, because that is how these things operate. Okay, they operate with energy, frequency, and vibration. So when they heal people, they'll see that they'll see lights, they'll see orbs, they'll feel a vibration in their body, and it's very intense. And there's people that talk about being like instantly healed. The one researcher, Doc, he had a blood clot in his leg that they where his doctor said he'd never seen anything like it before, and if that thing ever got loose, it would have killed him. But it didn't. So if you want to go to, there is a video called Last Ever Testimonial Video from Soya, and go to about 3 minutes and 40 seconds and start playing it from there with the sound on.
All right. 1 second. Let me just put the screen share on and then we're good.
Yeah. And anyway, this is the testimonial of people going there and talking about being scanned. And this woman talks about her healing experience, and she's so overwhelmed with emotion that she starts crying.
England. Awesome. Thank you for flying so far to be here with us. And next up to bat, this crazy boy has been out there with 10 years with me. And we've been squatching together, learning together. You've seen him on Big Brother Season 6, Big Brother All-Star Season 7. Let's give it up for Mr.
Jedi Hurricane Bigfoot Howie. I want to thank Dr. J for, a decade of squatching. Hopefully another 10, 20 years of Bigfooting would be a lot of fun. So
30 or 40.
30, 40 years would be great.
There we go.
Thanks, Janu, Bigfoot Forest people. But I'll go back. I'll start with night one, or actually minute one. My buddy and I, Mike, we were taking a leak in the bushes. We're out here in the wild, and we both put our, not supposed to do it, but put our flashlights on right away and walked up. Something 7 foot or beyond became startled as much as we did. We backed up a couple feet, and something 7, 8 feet totally disturbed the trees and bushes and moved everything. And you hear the footfall backwards, and we jumped, it jumped, and That was minute 1. So really, really cool right off the bat. And then we saw some lights. We saw a light display on night 1, and going to night 2, saw some more light displays. Now, for the first time, really, I heard a lot about them, shimmering images. I've seen a complete physically uncloaked Bigfoot. I've seen orbs, but I saw last night, or the final night, I saw down the path about 9 o'clock, I saw a shimmering image. I first saw it and looked about, I don't know, from the distance, 8 feet tall or in that range, maybe even multiple ones, but shimmering image of a Bigfoot. Pretty cool. Felt a few tinglings on the hand here and there when I asked it to shake my hands, a little bit of zapping. Saw some more lights throughout the 3 days. Not as much, but heard some branches cracking and some footfall here. Oh, first night, excuse me, yes, right in front of me, into about 20 feet into the trees. Heard some cracking and branching and some footfall. Very slow. But then last night, I had some of the zapping and the medical scanning. First would happen for about 4 minutes, and then they'd go away for 30, 40 minutes, return again for 3-4 minutes, and happen again a third time. I've been used to. I'm not trying to be spoiled, but getting scanned, getting worked on, zapped for 30, 40, 50 minutes at a time. But maybe they do it in a better way now, or less concentrations of energy where I can't detect it. Maybe they hear something. Once again, they don't say, "Here's Howie, here's your PPO and your paper and your bill, and here's what we did." You hope they worked on something or fixed something, or just check to see if you were okay. But last night, so very nice. A lot of the same that I've experienced now for a decade, and a few new things once again with the shimmering images. But I'm expecting or hoping that in future excursions, I get to see the interaction take an exponential level for the better. It's what really has progressed over the last 10 years. Just really, for the most part, Bigfooting has gotten better and better and better. Met a lot of nice people and friends along the way, but had a lot of great encounters and excursions, and hope it keeps on going. Thanks, Dr. J, and everyone else.
Thank you, Howie. Now, hello there. Who are you and where are you from?
I am Michael Hitzman from Jacksonville, Florida. And night 1, driving up the mountain, it's a long time up the mountain, and it was just beginning to come dark. So when Howie and I, when we arrived at the base camp here at Soya, obviously we had to go to the bathroom, and mistakenly had our iPhones out, had the lights on. We're going to the bathroom, and as soon as we flicked our lights on, something very large and very invisible shot into the woods, and we're both standing there like this, saw it, and it was pretty cool to see, 8-9 foot of trees, like something running away from us. So that was night 1. Night 2, when Miss Amy was having her scanning, I saw the same orb type mechanisms that I saw in Chehalis last July of 2018, kind of crawling up her back and moving on, and then another one would start, and it looked like almost like a medical, like MRI scanning type device. So that was totally cool to me. And thirdly, just to mention, I'm honored and thank Dr. J for having me. I mean, obviously I know Howie, that's how I get the invite to see Soya. And yesterday, seeing Soa and seeing all historically what has taken place in the last 10 plus years of Dr. J's research was really cool for me, because I love the outdoors. I come from Florida, flat ocean, and being up in the mountains here is it's
Flat
magical.
ocean.
So enjoyed the whole trip. Last night I was super tired from being up most of the first 2 nights, so last night was pretty uneventful for me, just a lot of hard sleep. So thank you, Dr. J. Can't wait to visit you in Chehalis at your CIA.
At the CIA, at otherwise known as Camp Janu. Now, next we have a name and where you're from.
I'm Amy Rajek, and I'm from Daphne, Alabama.
This is the woman who gets very emotional. Listen to her story.
I'm the one that had some pretty mind-blowing experiences. I know when I came out here with a fractured ankle, and since I've arrived at Soya, I'm pretty sure I've been healed, because I don't feel the pain. It's been great. Everything's good. I'm excited about that. Thank you, Janu. Thank you also, Matt, for inviting me out here with Regina, and I couldn't thank you more. I mean, I experienced a lot out in Chehalis, both times I've been. But this time, what happened, I'm not too positive. I know that I've had to get feedback from a few others around me just to confirm a few things. But years ago, I had a major injury shooting to my face and bullet in my head.
Damn.
I don't really feel like some doctors can help me, so I just live with it. I've been instructed to ask, so I asked Dr. Matt if he thought that was a good idea, and he said, you don't know if you don't ask. I'm a firm believer in that. So I approached the 12 o'clock position and poured my heart out. I can't really explain all of what happened because I'm not sure. But I definitely felt a lot of energy. And I'm not one to really lose it and cry. I'm usually a really strong person, especially for the tiny female that I am. I lost it. They came up and I guess was scanning me or working on me. And I felt like I was going to hit the ground. I was trying to control my breathing and everything. And it eventually got to the point where I could hear everybody behind me in and out, kind of talking from time to time between everything that was going on. And then I know that Dr. J had to send in Mr. Andy to come and get me. And when Andy came in for me,
right there.
he had to wrap his arms around me to keep me from falling down. And when he did,
She's real upset.
I went into his chest and we merged as one for I don't know how long. And it was like trying to pull a plunger off a wall that it wasn't him and it wasn't me, but they pulled me back out of him. And
I'm going to interject that that's due to all the vibration, the higher vibrational frequency you were experiencing, and that Andy had the pleasure of experiencing once he put his arms around you. That's how that was able to be pulled off. Keep going.
I know that he had told me that I was going to be okay, which I felt that I was going to be okay. It was just very intense energy, like I have never experienced, and I've been electrocuted. That was the most indescribable experience I have ever felt in my life, and I have never merged with another person like that. That was a feeling all of its own. So yeah, I honestly feel that if he would have let me go, I would have fell either way. And I had to be helped out of the woods to my seat, which I continued to uncontrollably shake for a long time. Other than that, I've had my shoes untied and I had a baby sit in my lap and I got to dance with the babies last night. So thank you.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Now, before we go to you, Andy, I'm going to ask these other witnesses.
Karen, before we play the other witnesses, can I just ask you how long after her experience was this interview filmed? Was it like right after, or like
this was probably the next day? This is the following morning, I think.
Okay, cool.
Do you guys all see what Amy was just talking about?
Yep.
Yeah.
Some lights covering her, energy, yes.
Saw it all.
Yes.
Okay.
The lights were covering her.
Hi, I'm Andy Cunningham from Redondo Beach, and first of all, thank you.
Redondo Beach, where?
California.
Okay.
Andy.
Thanks, Doc, for inviting me to come up to Sawyer for one last time. I'm going to jump right into what happened here. We were witnessing a lot of energy, a lot of orbs with Amy right in here, about 15, 20 feet inside.
Yep.
And it was pitch black, but you could see energy, auras, and orbs of all different colors around this woman. And after about what seemed like 5, maybe 10 minutes, Dr. Johnson asked me to go in and help her if she needed help because she was sobbing uncontrollably. So I walked into this area here, and she was standing there shaking. I wrapped my arms around her, and it felt as if my arms were magnets, and they just grabbed onto her and held onto her as she experienced this energy. And then I too felt the energy come through my body from my waist all the way up to my head. And I could see orbs and I could see energy. And we stood there probably for 3 or 4 minutes. I was holding her. It felt as if she was off the ground and we were one. And then I asked her if she was willing to go out, and she said yes. And as soon as I let go of my arms, she started to crumble. So I helped pick her back up and virtually helped carry her out of this area here into this area and put her in her chair. And that was the experience that I received from the benefit of her energy. Was I got to receive some of that energy from the Janu. And then the rest of my stay was I experienced the first time I got to see their energy of the Janu, the height of them. Now I can start to see them at night. A lot more orbs, a lot more color, a lot more energy throughout all the trees, high and low, ground level. And this was one of the most epic experiences I've had with the Janu, Dr. J, Soya, and the wonderful energy that the Janu people bring to you. And I want to thank you for the experience and the opportunity to be here and have this.
The Janu?
Yeah, that is, I know, I didn't explain that before, but that's basically what they call that clan or family of Sasquatch in that area.
How many different are these, like, kind of like they tell you there's different races of people, like how many different clans are there? And we didn't really talk about, like, what areas of the world are there the most sightings and why? Is it climate based? Is it culture based? Can we talk about that a little?
Well, you know, they're basically on all the inhabitable continents. Every continent has forest people on it, except for Antarctica. But they're everywhere. And then each different continent calls them something different. In in Asia, they're called a Yeti. Here, they're called Sasquatch or Bigfoot. In Southeast Asia, they have a creature that they call the Orang Pentek. That's their version of Bigfoot, supposedly. Then in Australia, they're called a Yowie. Okay, so there's different names for them, but they're on every single continent. And I see some of you naysayers out there saying, oh, they're not real. Oh, this is fake. I can't believe you believe this. You don't have to believe it. I don't care if anybody believes one word out of my mouth. All I can do is tell you my experiences and what happened to me and what I've seen, which I know to be 100% real. You can either believe me or you can go watch something else. I really don't care. It's not my job to convince anybody that this is real or that these things exist. If you don't want to believe it, if you think it's dumb, go watch something else. I don't care. I don't care. All I know is that this has been going on with me for years, and I'm not the only one who experiences it. And you can see, I just played a video of people who have these experiences and they're so taken back for it that they're moved to tears. And if you go to this channel, if you go to Team Squatch in USA, actually, let me put a link to that channel. Go watch it. Go watch the videos on that channel where they have testimony after testimony after testimony of people going to this area, okay? Going to this area and having the same experiences, being healed, being surrounded by love, okay? Having the most moving experiences of their entire life. And you can just go watch their testimony. You don't have to listen to me, or you don't have to watch it. Don't watch it. Don't believe any of it. Go do something else. Okay? I don't care. This, for me, I know it's real. Like, I don't consider myself a believer. I'm a knower. I know that they're real. I know it. Okay? As Cammie, she was here. She saw it. Ted came to my house. Ted came to hang out at the end of August when it was still summertime, and they came out and started playing when he was here too.
And when I was down there, Zach told me that he smelled it.
Yeah, Zach. Bob said he saw a shadow person walk across my driveway. Okay, everybody that comes here who's open to it has some sort of experience. Okay, so you can take it for what it is. If you're not interested in it, go do something else. I'm talking about this because this is what's going on, and I feel that this is a very relevant thing to unveiling this realm, which is what we call our show, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to figure out where we are, what we're doing here, and how this place works. And I think that these creatures are a big key to it. I mean, look at what they can do. They can phase in and out of your visual sight. They can transform into an energy form. They open and close portals. I didn't even get into that very heavy. I might even do a part 2 where I talk about just that and what people have seen. But there's a lot of witnesses here. They talk about seeing lights in the woods, portals where creatures go in and out of them. Okay, so what are they doing? Where are they going? How are they opening these portals? And how come we don't know about this stuff? Why are we being lied to about this stuff?
Oh, we're being literally, I think all these topics have one common theme. We're all lied to about anything that has any type of spirituality to it. Of course,
right?
They have to hide it.
It's like Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And that is exactly how these things work. Okay, and how we work too, but we don't know because we've been educated out of it. We've been dumbed down out of it. We've been poisoned. Our bodies, our antennas have been poisoned to not work the right way here. Why are they spraying superconductors into the sky like barium and strontium? Okay, why are they doing that stuff? Are they messing with the ether? Are they doing something to our frequency to keep us out of these other dimensions, or to keep us from being able to access these other dimensions? And what happens if you go and you start talking to these creatures and you start communicating with them and start learning about the real nature of this realm or this universe where it is we live? What are they going to tell you? What are they going to tell us? What could they show us? What could we learn from them? Okay, so this is why I think this is a highly relevant topic, and this is why I wanted to talk about it. And if you think it's dumb, if you think it's a waste of time, well, then kick rocks. Because I don't. This is 100% real. This is what's going on right in your own backyard. In my backyard, you don't even have to go deep into the woods. Like, a lot of people will go into remote areas and they'll have experiences there. Guess what? You don't even have to do that. You don't even have to go into remote areas. Okay? You just have to be open to it. You just have to not be afraid. You just have to really have a true curiosity about the truth. Mike Mackey, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, it is from the heart. This is real talk right here. This is right now. I'm talking about all the stuff that I want to talk about, but I never do.
Yeah, well, you should. This is your channel, and this is one of the things I always try to encourage people to do is talk about all different topics. That's what I do. Obviously, that's what you're doing. Just like when you did your Amsterdam presentation, you talked about the stuff to do with the heart and everything instead of just the same old flat earth stuff everybody already knows. All this stuff it's all connected and it's all important.
It is all connected.
It's boring talking about just one topic all the time, even though it's fascinating.
Can't just talk about one topic all the time. How many times can we talk about how we can see too far? How many times can we talk about how no motion is detected? How many times can we sit here and argue with these stupid ballers who want to say that you can see too far because there's refraction, because the light's bending around the curve? I'm tired of wasting my time with that bullshit. I'm not wasting my time with that shit anymore. This is why I don't do debates, because I don't care about that anymore. It's time, it's time to go beyond that for me. If there's other people who want to do that, then you go do that.
Yep.
Okay. But for me, there's more to learn. There's stuff to learn here. There's incredible things to figure out about where we live. And I want to do that. And I think that this is a huge part of it. And I want to talk about it because over the years, I have mentioned before that Bigfoot was my actual doorway into flat Earth, and I've come across a few people who say, "Yeah, me too." Right? Okay, but most people are afraid to talk about it because they get told that they make flat Earth look stupid. I mean, you got to be fucking kidding me. You think the Earth is flat, and you think Bigfoot's going to make you look stupid?
That's like that meme I have, and it says, "So you don't want to talk about the Mandela effect because you're afraid when talking about flat Earth, people are going to then think you're crazy." That's like they already think you're fucking crazy. They already thought you were crazy. They already thought you were crazy when you said 9/11 was an inside job. All of you, they already think you're crazy.
Exactly. They already think you're crazy. Newsflash. We're already crazy to everybody. They already make fun of us. They already tell us that we're you know, that we're a part of the failed education system. Okay. They already talk down to us. So why even waste your time talking to them if that's all they're going to tell you? Just, you know, forget all that. Leave them behind. They want to stay behind. They want to stay in their, you know, cartoon ball. Let them. Let's, you know, for me, I want to move forward. I want to learn what's really going on. So if there's anybody out there who has experiences with them, or you are open to this, or you want to, you know, get into it, you want to learn how to habituate, how to communicate, how to open up that line of communication with them, you know, do it. And you can talk to me about it. You know, I'll talk to anybody about it. This is my favorite, one of my most favorite subjects, because I think that we can learn so much. Because I keep saying, you know, I've said a bunch of times, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what we don't know. And you don't, you know, we don't even know half the time what questions to ask. Like, honestly, I don't even know what questions to ask. And I'm sure that there's questions that need to be asked that I would learn so much from. I don't even know what those questions are yet. But you have to get to that point somehow. Okay. And you get to that point by talking about things that are outside of your comfort zone. So you have to step outside your comfort zone. You have to keep asking questions.
Yeah, and every step of the way, we keep saying we've been lied to about everything. Where do you guys think it ends? It doesn't end, and the learning process that we're going through doesn't end. And we're going to keep discovering new things, and none of these things are the ultimate truth. We all thought 9/11 was the ultimate truth, and we all thought fucking flat Earth is the ultimate truth. Mandela effect, it just keeps going. It's always going to go. There's always going to be more, and this is another part of it. And obviously, if this is a real thing, Karen, what do you think about some of the other creatures out there that are sort of like this, but not Bigfoot creatures? You know, some of the other mythical creatures.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible. It's possible. I mean, think about it this way: especially creatures that supposedly live in the oceans. Mm-hmm. We've only explored what, 5% of the oceans.
Yeah.
Okay. Only 5%. They say we've only actually explored 5% of the ocean. So what could be hiding in the ocean that we don't know about? All kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. That's what I'm saying. It's like there could even be hidden land in the deep southern Pacific. All you have to do is leave it off the map. That's all you have to do. Just leave it off the map and nobody will ever go there.
I want to address this question real quick. Bonnie Riggs says mud flood is the ultimate truth. And no, I will disagree. I would say that's another piece of the puzzle. You can't have that attitude that something's the ultimate truth. You're boxing yourself in. You're boxing yourself in and you're restricting yourself. What do you mean? So after that, you're not going to move forward? I'd still be stuck in 9/11 10 years later if I had that mindset. I would have never came into flat Earth and all this other stuff. Nothing's the ultimate truth. You got to keep going, man. The mud flood is not the ultimate truth. The Mandela effect is not the ultimate truth. The flat Earth is not the ultimate truth.
Bigfoot does not require belief. I see the comment, Bigfoot requires belief like globe Earth. No, it doesn't. Bigfoot does not require belief.
We have a super chat.
It just requires an open mind and the willingness to receive them into your life. Ask them to reveal themselves to you, and they will. Hell, they'll reveal themselves to you even if you don't ask. Maybe I was asking subconsciously and I wasn't aware of it, but they started revealing themselves to me and I didn't have to believe. They showed me that they were real.
Christopher gave you a super chat on the screen if you want to just read that, please.
Oh, awesome. Christopher, always new knowledge to consume. Stay frosty. Yes, there is always new knowledge to consume. Don't, like Brian said, don't box yourself in. Don't close yourself off. Look at everything. I look at stuff that I don't agree with. you know, and it either resonates with me or it doesn't. Or, you know,
how the fuck do you even know if you really agree with it until you look at it?
that's true. Or I've looked at stuff and it didn't resonate with me at the time, but then later on something else happened and I remembered, oh, I looked at this information a long time ago, and then it was like it made a connection, you know. So don't discount it, or discount it and go look at something else. I don't care. Forest guardians, yeah, that's exactly what they are. This is what I think they are. They are protectors. They are caring. They are sentient beings. They have families. They have a family structure. They're good. So anybody who wants to tell you that they're monsters or, you know, Nephilim, I don't really know much about the story about Nephilim. When I hear that word Nephilim, I tend to think that that's considered a negative thing. They're not a negative thing. Whether they are or aren't Nephilim, maybe they are, but they're good, not bad. I don't know. Honestly, I couldn't tell you 100% what they are.
So Karen B, the known serpent seed of Satan, wants to knock on the Nephilim, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Let me jump in real quick to what Michael says here. Michael says, yes, it's okay to speculate. And Michael, I 100% agree. And here's the thing. I always say speculation is great when stated as such. So if we're going to have a conversation amongst our peers like this, we need to speculate, because how else are we ever going to put pieces together to the puzzle and try and figure things out? Now, if you're going to go and get into a debate with Globies and you're trying to prove something, yeah, that's when you stay away from speculation. But, you know, I love speculation. And that's the only way you progress, in my opinion. And yes, before you put something out as fact, if it's speculation, you obviously say it's speculation. But yeah, I love speculation.
Yeah. Okay. David Voice says, is there audio recordings of out in the timber that has suspected Yeti Sasquatch audio? I'm an audio guy. Yes. It's called, there's a very famous recording called the Sierra Sounds. And if you look up the Sierra Sounds, you'll find the recording of what is called samurai chatter. They call it samurai chatter. Or you can search samurai chatter, Bigfoot samurai chatter, and you'll hear recordings of that. So yes, they have been recorded. Ceiling Fan Man, Karen B, because of this, we are going to reach out tomorrow and leave a gift for ours around the problem. Yeah, do it. Do it. Now, for me, things get quiet around here in the winter because all the leaves fall off the trees around here. And I feel like things are just more quiet around here. Although I did have an encounter here in the winter, in the dead of winter. I was walking my dog at night again, and that's when I smelled one. But this time it wasn't the foul smell like I smelled with a male. It was, okay, it was dead middle of winter. And it just smelled like dirt. Like, you know, when you go out in winter and there's nothing in bloom, nothing, everything's dormant. It just smells like wet dirt outside. So that's what it smelled like outside. So I was out there, wintertime, walking the dog. And then all of a sudden, which is, you know, very similar to the first time, I just had this whole most pleasant, beautiful tropical flower aroma filled up the entire air around me. It smelled like I was in a tropical island forest or something. Like, it just smelled so beautiful. And it was the middle of winter and it just came out of nowhere. And all of a sudden I was like, you know, and I don't wear perfume. I do not wear perfume because that stuff makes me sick. I can't stand it. So it wasn't me, you know, but it just all of a sudden it was just everywhere. I could smell this beautiful tropical flowery smell. And I was like, oh, that smells good. What is that? You know? And then I just kept walking the dog around. And then I came back to that spot a few minutes later and it was completely gone. It had completely disappeared. And then, and I remembered that I had read another account in that group of a woman who had the same experience as me. And she believed that it was the female Sasquatch that smells like that. How does the smell compare to deer? I don't know, because honestly, I never get close enough to deer to smell them. But I can tell you that the male Sasquatch that I smelled horrid, which I talked about when I very first started talking about my experiences. It smelled like the dirty, nasty, wet dog times 1,000. It was disgusting, musty, gross.
Well, hey, I need to take 5 minutes real quick. You want to take 5 minutes yourself, or do you want to talk to the chat?
I'll talk to the chat.
Okay.
If anybody has questions right now, you can ask questions. Karen B, yes, Nephilim is a bad thing. Okay. Any other questions? Deer do not stink. I don't think they stink either, Michael. I never smell deer. They always take off too fast anyway. I never get close enough. Yeah. Okay, let's see. I'm going to... I downloaded some things. So wait, now I'm getting a question. Do you know anything about the Tibetans regards to Bigfoot? Yeah, that's where they call them Yeti. That's like the abominable snowman or the Yeti. That's where they are. And there's a lot of accounts of them too. Lavandra unicorn. Are they from a different realm? I don't know. I think so. What experience did you have, Karen? I talked a whole bunch about that earlier in the stream. If you want to go back and watch the stream, you can see me talk about a lot of the stuff that happened to me. I talked about that a bunch. What is your take on the Jersey Devil? Do you think it's real? I'm not even sure what the Jersey Devil is, to be honest. I'm not sure what that is. My thoughts on Finding Bigfoot is that Finding Bigfoot is a big bullshit show. I used to watch it all the time though, because they had really good accounts of people telling their stories, or eyewitness accounts. But when they go out and they try to find them, quote unquote, find them, and they're out all night hooting and hollering and hoo and banging on trees, that's retarded. You will never, ever, ever get an encounter that way. Never. At least I don't think you will. I think they're going to be like, what are you doing, you idiot? So, and they think that Bigfoot is like, they consider them big apes. They take the very, mainstream BS approach to it. So that's what I think about Finding Bigfoot. That's why I say Bigfoot. That's why my bot says, you don't find Bigfoot, Bigfoot finds you. Tibetans actually hold the Yeti in a very high spiritual regard. Yeah. I believe that. I could see why, because they are very, they're very spiritual. They are very spiritual. They're connected. They're high energy beings, very high energy beings. Like you can see, go to that channel I linked, the Team Squatching channel, and read the accounts of the people that go to that habituation site. They absolutely are. If you ever shoot some video and think you hear mumbling, please let me know. Okay. I hardly ever take my camera out and try to record them, because honestly, the couple of times that I did try to take my phone out and record them, they killed my battery. I went out there, I had 80% in my phone battery. I pulled my phone out and I tried to turn on the video app and my phone died right before my eyes. They drain batteries. That's another thing that you'll read about encounters. Like people will bring batteries, like redundancy in batteries, like backup batteries, and they will just kill them all. If they decide that they don't want you to have that there, then you just won't. Cheers, Scrabbler Bear. Thanks for stopping by. Do you think they have intelligence above our regular pet? Heck yes. Highly intelligent. They're probably smarter than us, to be honest. What do the Sasquatch mean to you? That's a good question, Maori. I don't know, man. They could be teachers. I think they could be teachers to us. They could teach us so much if we could not act like idiots in the woods and be afraid. I think if more people were open to it and were willing to try to communicate with them, that they could be teachers. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so I'm gonna open this
thing from Sasquatch Chronicles, actually.
And I'm gonna play a little clip. Let me go to a part here where this guy talks about when he sees one. So listen to this.
And I'm like, oh my God, there's the yard. And I'm still thinking we're not going to make it. And, you know, then there's the door. And then we get inside the door and I'm like, oh my God, you know, we're here. My cousin Diane, she's just like, you know, oh my God, what happened? What happened? And I'm telling her that there's monsters in the woods. You know, she goes, well, look, I want you out of your mind. You know, there's no way you're going to get me out there. They called my parents, or she called my parents, and they got home and they heard the story, and my mom believed me, and my stepdad, he was very skeptical, and he wanted to go back out there, and I wasn't about to go back out there. He dragged me back out there the next morning. There used to be a log that we used to cross all the time over a batch of nettles. We used to kind of play King of the Hill on that. You know, hey, we had to entertain ourselves somehow. But that thing was broken in half, and it was every bit of 3 foot around. I mean, it may have been hollow in places, but, you know, this thing was a massive log. I mean, you weren't, you know what I mean? You and I weren't going to break it. You could take a machine to actually break that, you know, like a bulldozer or something. So when he saw that, you know, he thought, well, you know, that's odd, but he didn't necessarily, you know, believe me. But I made my mother call my grandparents who lived, there's no way I was going to be there. But I heard 2 weeks after that incident, my mother was watching Chiller Theater or Night Owl Theater, one of those things. And my cousin Nick was there. And
maybe I went to the wrong one. Hold on.
Read the screen if you can, real quick while you're looking. Question on the screen?
Is there any more authentic Bigfoot footage lately? I don't know. Every once in a while, a video comes out. There's this channel that I have on my recommended channel list. It's called Bigfoot Tony, and he analyzes video, and he's really good at it. And he's really good at pinpointing fake footage versus real footage. No, I don't believe that I got lucky. I think most of them are good. And I don't think that they would ever hurt somebody. I don't believe that.
While you're looking for the clip, let me give a quick show plug before you read the next question. I did a Mandela Effect interview today with this guy, Adam Walton. Was a really good interview. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy that. So it'll probably be too late tonight. I mean, maybe I'll air it tonight. If not, I'll air that tomorrow afternoon. And then Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern, Robin Campbell from Lifting the Lid. It's going to be his awakening interview. So that'll be Saturday morning. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
All right. Let me see if I got the right.
Well, she was very real. Only in her hair and her ability to move her lips. Other than that, there was nothing gorilla about this creature. It's its own species, Wes. In my opinion, you know, in my opinion, it's its own species. It's not a missing link. I don't feel like it's a missing link. I don't feel like it's connected to us that way. It's older than that. Wow, maybe I should have said that. Its thing is look, it has ability. It has things that we can't do. It's not just a predatory ability. It's more than that. It's a control. Look, I didn't even see it. It was standing right in front of me. I didn't see it. This thing's like 8 foot tall with a baby attached to its side, 40 feet in front of me, and a clearing, nothing between us, not a thing. And I did not see it. My cousin didn't see it. It wasn't until I pointed at her and she actually moved that he could actually even see her. It was almost like she had control over, it's almost like when he looked in any direction towards her, it was almost like she was just part of the environment. And I couldn't understand that. But I do understand it because I didn't see her. I didn't see her until the baby had lifted its head and I noticed the movement of its shoulder, because it had to actually turn its whole shoulder to actually move, because its neck was so thick, it was almost connected directly to its shoulder, you know? And so it had to make quite a body movement just to look at me. And when it did that, that's when I caught the movement. But prior to that, she's right in front of us probably for almost a minute, and I don't even know she's there. And I still can't figure that out.
Yeah, that doesn't shock me as much as you would think, because in a lot of situations, you know, even as being a hunter or an ex-hunter, if something doesn't move, you're probably not going to see it. You know, our eyesight really is trained for movement, and if something doesn't move, you're not going to see it. So I kind of understand that, you know.
But it's more than that. It's more than if it doesn't move. I mean, it's like they are literally in a different state. They're in what we call a cloaked form. It's like they're there, but they're not there. Like what that guy was saying. He's like, I had to point at it and before my cousin could see it or whatever, because it's true. That's like when I was standing out in my backyard and I saw one in the woods in its cloaked form behind Cammie in the wood line. I was watching it, and the only reason that I could see it is because it was swaying back and forth like this. And that's what made me notice it. And then once my eye caught it and I looked at it and I had my eye trained on it, I sat there and I watched it for a good minute. So it's more than that. It's like they literally cloak themselves. It's like when my daughter said, there's a Bigfoot over there, don't let it get me. Whatever it was in a form that she could see it. She tells me that she remembers it, that it was furry and it had a dark face and that it had green eyes. That's what she tells me. And then when I looked up, I didn't see anything. Okay, so they can slip in and out of a visible form. Thank
Robert Owens.
Cheers, Robert Owens. Thank you.
Thank you.
So there's that. Now let me fast forward to another part of this, and I'll go to another. This is where he talks about what they are, or what he thinks they are, I think.
It's fascinating you say that. Whenever I talk to, I would say most of the time, whenever I talk to an eyewitness that's gotten a really good look up close and personal like you did. And you did a great job on the drawing too. And if people want to check it out, go to SasquatchChronicles.com. I'll post a picture of it, of what you drew. But you did a good job with the horse teeth and being kind of broken and everything. But one thing I find fascinating is when I talk to a lot of people and they get very up close and personal with these things, they'll say that a lot. They'll say there's something about the eyes. There's something about this isn't a normal animal, and it's not a person, and it's not a monkey, and it's not an ape. I don't really know what this thing is, but there's something very odd about it. And I tend to agree with you. I mean, I really do. I think you know, I was joking with you last night when we were talking, and I said, you know, to be honest with you, if you would have caught me 2 years ago, I would have told you you're crazy. But I tend to agree with you. There's something more going on here. And when you start looking at the government cover-up, and maybe it's because of the soup I swim in and most people can't relate, but there's a lot of correlations between alien cover-ups and these things. There's a lot of correlations between strange cover-ups and these things. And if it was nothing more than just a wild monkey out there running around, why cover it up? Why? People say money. I don't buy that for I can tear apart that argument in 2 seconds. If you want to say money and the lumber industry, and I can take that apart in 2 seconds.
No, it's beyond that. There's an intentional push, I feel, to keep this quiet. Look, I didn't tell you this last night. My grandfather, his name is Wallace Horton. He was an aerospace engineer in Roswell during those famous years. And he was the head engineer at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base during those years, during those famous years. And it's a matter of record. You can look it up. And I've often asked him many times, and he'd just get angry with me and tell me there is no famous hangar and that aliens don't exist and all these other things. But he was very much a government man. He died a few years ago, and I was at his side, when he passed. And I asked him many questions for those last 2 weeks. I'm like, Grandpa, nobody's going to be able to come and get you or anything else at this point. I mean, you're 96 years old, and I know you feel committed to your government and what have you. But, I would like some answers. And the only thing that he would acknowledge to me, because this guy was very pro-government, he was not, he was very tight-lipped. He told me, he said, Johnny, he says, I'm not going to tell you what I know. He says, but I will tell you this, if you want the truth, the answers lie in Venezuela. And that's all he told me. I couldn't begin to tell you what that means or anything else, because, there's not a lot out there that I could find dealing with Venezuela, and I
Anyway, I thought that was an interesting part, because what happened to Venezuela? Does anybody remember what Venezuela was recently going through? Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Well, I mean, everybody was starving. Their government was, they went through a whole bunch of stuff. Just go look at what's been happening in Venezuela. I mean, very poor country, very poor. They weren't even able to get food for a long time. It's a very downtrodden country, and I don't know why. But I thought it was interesting that his uncle would say that there's the answer lies in Venezuela. I don't know what that has to do with Sasquatch, but it's like what the host was saying, that this is just another thing that's covered up. They cover up the alien thing. Now we know that there's no outer space like they say there is, or at least we don't believe that there is, and we can't prove that there is, and I certainly don't think that there is either. But there are a lot of people who are considered contactees, who have had contacts with these beings, and who knows where they're from. Could be part of the cover-up. That's part of the cover-up, right? Who knows what they're from? They're from another realm, another world, right? They're coming here to contact us, and they make you think that they're gonna, kidnap you and probe you and do all these horrible things. Maybe they will. I don't know. But it's just another cover-up. This is something else that they're covering up.
No. I saw a question come in that you kind of briefly answered in the chat with just a yes. Somebody asked you if you've heard of this energetic ground mist. What's that all about? And then get to the next question on the screen after that.
Yeah, that's kind of like the portals, right? That's kind of what they would say, that it's like, it looks like it's a mist of light, like it's energy light, right? That's what the portals are.
And what's the Mount St. Helens Bigfoot event?
Mount St. Helens. Well, supposedly when Mount St. Helens blew, there was an injured Sasquatch that was present on the mountain, or that some people found when Mount St. Helens blew, but it came and got picked up by a helicopter, by a military helicopter, and taken away. So that is what I heard happened on Mount St. Helens.
Do you have more clips you want to play? You want to open phones in a little bit? Let people call in? What do you want to do?
Let me play this one other clip. This is from a guy that, this is the guy that is here in North Carolina. I actually want to see if I can get in touch with this dude.
And I got footprints and I got, you know, I got all this stuff.
Hold on.
Encounter, and then, like I said, and I know I'm going to answer your question, but like I said, it became this thing where once I got comfortable going back into the forest.
This is basically him talking about how he started habituating a group of Sasquatch. Like once he had a couple of encounters and he was really afraid. This guy saw a portal. If you go here, I'll put a link to this talk too, so you guys can go watch it. But he saw a portal. He had a couple of crazy encounters, and then he talks about how he started to habituate in his area and have regular encounters. And so this is what once it started getting regular.
By the end of 2016. I started exploring a bunch of areas out there, and then it was like I found this area where this clan of these Sasquatch people were like revealed themselves, and I got footprints, and I got you know, I got all this stuff, and I brought it back to my friend who had been thinking, you know, at this point, my hiking buddy, you know, my backpacking buddy, and he's like, looking at the footprint now, and he's looking at this and that now, and I'm showing him these breaks and these structures and things that I'm finding, you know, and he's like, okay, I got to get out there and see it. And then he comes out there, and we start having really close, really intense encounters immediately, and it just took off from there, and it's been going on ever since. And what I've discovered, and I have to say all this first because I need people to know that or I need you or the audience to know that I've gone through a process of discovery with the Sasquatch, where through our relationship that we established in Western North Carolina in 2017, we came to know for sure, without a doubt, that these were actually thoughtful people. And then we started to realize that, wait, these like really large individuals that we're dealing with, like they're actually like probably kids, and like the adults don't even come around because of the way that they would interact with us and stuff, and the things they would do and the things we started discovering. And they left us, I mean, we started a gifting exchange thing with them, and they left us very thoughtful things. They did very thoughtful things, all off trail, you know, what we discovered. And I know it's different with every, and I want to share, like I said, it's only the tip of the iceberg here, Wes. I wish I could have gotten to the stuff where, you know, these other couple sightings or this other sighting and all this stuff.
We can definitely do a part 2.
Okay, great. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, especially when I'm in a place where I can communicate better, because like I said, I'm just not in the greatest space. It does take a lot of energy to talk about this stuff. It's kind of exhausting, actually. But what I've come to find, what we've come to realize, is that they're some kind of people. Now, since we have been interacting with them regularly all over Western North Carolina and North Georgia now, it's like all of a sudden, it's like this, Wes. It's like this. It's like everywhere we go now, we don't bring cameras and stuff to document or anything like that. We never did that. We just go out there to see what we can find, see who's there, and pretty much everywhere we go out to these remote territories, they're there. What we've discovered in our region, at least, and I think it's just like with people, and this is one of the reasons I say they're like people. It's just like with people, you have different, you know, temperaments, you know, in different areas of the world, different parts of the country. Every individual person has their own unique personality. Every little family has their own sort of energy, or you know, they're sort of dynamic. You know what I mean? So far, the Sasquatch that we have encountered, that we have confirmed fit every description known of Sasquatch, what we've discovered is that they are a people. At least here, at least the ones that we're dealing with.
Like
and
humans?
That they,
when you say
yes, like humans, but more than human, like superhuman. that's the best way I can say it. It's like they're superhuman, because now we've seen what they can do with their strength. We've witnessed spectacular things. We've had things happen with our, our psyche, with our psyches and our dreams and things like that, that just can't be dismissed, as just coincidence, or the imagination acting up, or the subconscious, or whatever. Things that have happened in person, in close quarters with these people, where they have abilities that supersede, or that seem to be more advanced in certain ways than humans. And I'm not saying like all of them are like this, but all of our experiences with them so far have been like they operate in these like little family units or something, but they definitely can they're definitely all over the place out here. I mean, everywhere you go out here, they're there. They mimic owls. The ones that we interact with mimic owls, barred owls, really well.
That's actually something that reminds me. They do that around my house all the time. They imitate owls. I'll hear them doing the hoo 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 hoo. I hear them do that all the time.
And do some other like whistling and things like that with us. But it's like really loud, it's like really bassy and loud. And I mean, even to the point where like when we were in the Uwari last year with a really good friend of ours.
Uwari is here by Charlotte.
One came to the edge of our campsite, and this is a whole nother story, but one came to the edge of our campsite and was screamed at us. And then immediately after he or she like belted like, ah, it was like, and then all these coyotes started going hundreds of yards down from us in the forest, and like stuff like that. But they when our interactions with them and the things that they've done, and like I said, the details of like that I can share with you, like the gifting exchanges and things like that. It's like they think like people, and they grow like I felt some kind of attachment with the ones that we've been interacting with out in Western North Carolina specifically, a very strong attachment, and like to the point where I have some kind of soul pact with these people now. That's the best way I can describe it. And I know that might sound kind of funny to some people, but that's the best way I can describe it. It's like I have some kind of soul pact with these people. And what I'm getting at is now it's like wherever we go, we're like, oh, look, snap here, break here. Oh, let's walk into the woods a little bit. Oh, here's some structures. Here's some trees that have been pushed over and have had a bunch of freshly pulled up and broken trees woven through them, and all this all woven through the root systems, and all this and piles of things put on top of these structures, and just all kinds of things that we're finding. And Wes, I can send you pictures that I've got on my phone, just from snapping shots out there.
Yeah, I'd love to see them.
I've got.
But anyway, yeah, I'll stop it there. But that just goes to show, see, this guy went through lots of experiences over the years, and now he has like a connection with them, which is like what the Team Squatchin group is. They have a connection with the clan. It's like he's saying what they operate in these small family groups of different clans, and they all live in different areas. And here's the thing, and this is what they say. Once one of them knows you and knows that you're friendly to them, they all know. Once one knows, they all know. So it's like you'll see in some of the videos on Team Squatchin that one of the Sasquatch that they communicate with will tell, like he told that one woman who lives in the UK, that when she goes home, there'll be a family waiting there for her to communicate with, because they communicate telepathically.
Yeah, and that's why once you see one, you start to see more, because they let the other ones know it's okay to present themselves to you because you're cool, you're down.
Right. Once one of them knows you're cool, they all know it. And so then you'll start to see more and more and more. Okay. So that's what this guy's talking about. He's like, now that we know, we can go anywhere. You can go anywhere and you'll see signs of them. They might try to communicate with you. So once one knows you, they all know you, because they do communicate in ways that we can't. I don't even know that we can't communicate that way. I think that that these are just abilities that have been hidden from us, because I've also read a lot of accounts or heard stories where people say that, you know, the Bigfoots would communicate with them telepathically, or what people call mind speak. Okay. And so when they were able to talk back to the Bigfoot, they were like, oh, you can talk back to us this way. Like, they're surprised, because a lot of people can't do it, or they haven't unlocked that ability. But I think it's really something that anybody could do, you know, and this is like why I talk about this stuff as our hidden abilities, or our hidden potential, is because, you know, this all stems back to my research with Bigfoot and learning about what they can do and their abilities. I think that we have a lot of these abilities too. I'm not saying that we can do everything that they can do. I'm not saying that we can phase in and out of reality. Maybe we can, but we just don't know how, or we just have been, like I said, dumbed down out of it, or educated out of it.
I'll tell you right now, I'm working on it.
Right? Okay, so I don't know, you know, but I definitely think that there's something to be learned from what they can do and how they can communicate with us. There's something to learn about ourselves from talking to them.
Yeah.
So that's
and Lieutenant says chemtrails are locking us down. I believe that is all tied into the spiritual nature of this realm. That's my opinion, Lieutenant. I never thought they were there to kill you, but I feel that they're blocking our connection to each other and possibly to these creatures as well.
Okay, so if you want to open phones, we can open phones, but please keep it on topic to Bigfoot. Don't call in and start asking about Mandela effect. Like, I'm not against it, but tonight it's all about Bigfoot. So if you have questions about Bigfoot, if you have a experience with Bigfoot, or you know someone who has one, or you want to talk about something that's related to what we're talking about tonight, then that's what we're on about tonight. So
and the numbers on the screen: 978-435-0006.
Humans are extremely intelligent, but we are all locked. Just look into how capable us humans are. Watch YouTube vids of people creating amazing things. Yeah, if you watch like Trevor 7 and his telekinesis videos, I love that guy. He's actually really cool. I've messaged with him a couple of times. He's super cool. There's a lot of people showing you that they can move things with their mind. They could practice different types of telekinesis. So there's a lot of things that we're able to do that aren't, you know, they want you to believe is fake.
Yeah, a whole lot.
There's a lot of declassified CIA PDFs around that stuff too. They study it.
Phones are open: 978-435-0006. Give us a call. Oh, it's ringing. Why don't I hear it?
Yeah, I was gonna say I hear it. You don't hear it?
No, I don't hear it. I'm gonna have to put my headphones back. Go ahead, talk to the caller while I put my headphones back in.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, this is Chris from Indiana.
Hi, Chris from Indiana.
How are you?
Brian, turn the ringer off.
Yeah, hang on. My headphones are all staticky.
How's it going? Do you have a Bigfoot story?
Yeah, actually, I have two. One was when I was very young, and then one was just maybe 10, 11 years ago here. The first one was in Northern California. I'm pretty sure I was around 7, maybe 8, and my brother had lived over there in Northern California, or Southern California, but he took me to a friend of him and his wife took me to a couple that they knew in Northern California, and we were me and this little girl. I think she was like maybe a few years younger than me, and we were like you know, had our face to the back of the couch, and it was in front of a picture window here, the porch you know, like a walk-up porch, you know, like a deck.
Mm-hmm.
And just off from the right, it was a Sasquatch. You know, I didn't know at that time about Sasquatch, but he kind of leaned in and looked at us in the window, and the little girl just let out a harrowing, blood-curdling scream, and everybody else was in their dining room or something, and he looked at me and looked at her, and then it almost like he had an expression on his face after he could hear her screaming through the glass. I know he could. And he just kind of, you know, tilted his head, looked at me, and ran off out back off the property into the woods. And they come running in there. I'm sure they probably thought I was, you know, something was going on between her and I, but, you know, she said, you know, she was screaming, you know, monster, monster, you know. And I was just overwhelmed. I was like, whoa, I didn't know what to think. And then years later, here in Indiana, I was visiting I'm a musician. I was visiting a friend of mine, a singer. And it was just, you know, west of where I live, out in the country. And on his I had to turn left off this main road to go to his road. It kind of went up into like up a hill, and you know, there's like a cul-de-sac on the back, but he was the first house on the right. But he's on a big hill up there, and I'm just, you know, pulling in, turning left, you know, and I see this. I thought it was someone in a ghillie suit at first, and he just ran down the hill like 2 steps down this very tall hill. I'm not sure how the elevation of it, but it's like he took 2 steps down the hill, and it didn't turn, look into my car lights, but he turned his head away from it and kind of ducked his head, and just 1 step across the road, and then down in there's like a little drive on the other side of the road. It was like a walnut forest there of trees, and he ran through there, and I drove up to my buddies, and I called him on the phone in the car. I didn't get out. I said, I'm not getting out. He goes, why? I said, I've seen something running down your property and across the road here. And he didn't believe me. And he goes, oh, come on in. And I said, nah, at least let the dogs out or something. He had like 3 pit bulls, and 2 of them ran immediately when he opened the door towards, you know, across the road where I had seen the Sasquatch, you know, transport through there or whatever. And I got out of the car and I said, see, there's something, they're chasing something over there. And then, you know, he got one of them to come back, but the other one was gone for 2 days, and she came back. She was safe or whatever, but he didn't believe me. And then I think it was maybe a year and a half later, his wife passed, and he had said, man, I tell you what, I believe you, because he was sleeping and he heard something kind of, you know, ruffling around outside his bedroom window, and, you know, like the low tones in the voice, like, you know, I couldn't reproduce it. But and then I guess just maybe 6 months ago, his father had a Bigfoot encounter, and I know it's somewhere here in Indiana, but I'm not sure where. That's all I wanted to tell you is about those 2 encounters.
That's fascinating. So did you feel scared in either one of those encounters? Probably when you were a child, you might have felt scared, were you?
Yeah, I felt a little scared then, but I think the girl was screaming so high pitched that kind of startled me even more, you know. And then when he looked at her screaming and looked at me, it almost looked human in his face to me. I think it had green eyes, if I recall. It was a long time ago. I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he sort of looked like a lot of human features in his face, and I know it had to have been a, you know, male, I'm sure, but it was just, you know, it was like so fast and sudden that. Oh, and then my brother and his friend, they were former military, and they loaded their guns and ran out. They never found anything, but they just, it startled us, all of us, even the ones that didn't see him. Yeah, it was pretty amazing as I got a little older and I started to research and found out about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and I was like, wow, I couldn't believe that I actually seen one that close like that.
That's amazing. But there's actually a lot of encounters where they show themselves to children. Like one showed them itself to my daughter, and they're very curious about children. And it's like that one clip that I played where they said that a lot of them that they think that come around are the younger ones. I think that's true as well, because when Cammie was at my house, they were very playful. They were acting like young ones, like children, playful like children. Anyway, hello, Christopher. Chris? Is that your name? You still there?
Yes,
Brian?
can you hear?
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I thought we lost you.
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel like there's some kind of human link with them, from seeing him that one when I was, 7 years old. I just think there's some kind of human DNA in there, in the mix somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
actually there was
I know you have
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I know you have a lot of, I'm sorry, but I know you have a lot of anxious callers calling. I don't want to take up all your time, but it's very interesting to me, especially after having those two encounters in my life, so I know he's real, and I don't care what anybody thinks,
Exactly.
That is real. Yeah.
Exactly. Good. Well, thanks for calling and telling us about your experiences. That's amazing.
Yes. Well, thank you for the opportunity, Karen. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, sure.
I really enjoy listening. Yeah.
Good. Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You guys keep up the good work. People need to know for sure.
Yes. I think so too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Karen, very much. You guys have a great rest of your show. I'm listening.
All right. You too.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, guys. Next call, 978-435-0006.
There was a project where they should try to map the genome of the Bigfoot, and all the labs would send it back as human.
Hi, you're on with Brian and Karen. Who's this?
Hey, what's up, you guys? This is Awakened Narrative.
Hey, how you doing?
All right, my man. How are you, Brian?
I'm good.
All right. Karen, thank you so much for sharing this video.
You're welcome. Thank you for participating.
And no, for real, for having this open discussion, because you're right. At a point, we kind of get tired of beating up the globe lie, right? It's obvious, it's flat, it's obvious there's a big lie there. And then there has to be a point where we go beyond that. And discussing these things, these subject matters, I believe, puts us in that direction. And so thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you for saying so. I hope that resonates with more people.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I just said I hope it resonates with more people, but go ahead.
Yeah, so you know what? So I'm an old school person. I'm kind of like you. I think that's why I really enjoy watching, your videos and listening to you. But there was a time, as you guys all remember, if you've been following, conspiracies, if you will, for a while, there was a time when, the Bigfoot Sasquatch thing was huge on my radar. Like, it was huge on my radar. In particular, that one 8mm film that everyone dissected. And, but what happened was the ridicule came. Literally, it became embarrassing to talk about it. And it's funny, you know, as a person that doesn't believe in the globe lie anymore, it wasn't until your show tonight where I realized, shit, it's the same fucking ridicule that goes on with the, you know, the ball earthers, or from the ball earthers on the flat earth regarding the Sasquatch or Bigfoot. Same ridicule. And so it forced me back then, I mean, to ignore it. I just literally swept it under the rug. I said, yeah, I wanted to know more about it, but there was so much, you know, skepticism and ridicule with it. I just ignored it. Straight up, ignored it.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing you tonight, right, talk about it and seeing that there's actually a passion for it, I left the live stream to go look at a few videos. I'm like, hold on, let's just see these links that she's posting.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. It's fucking awesome. I appreciate it, you guys. So thank you so much for having, you know, opening up another realm of discussion. And I honestly believe, you know, we're spiritual beings. I know this. I absolutely believe this. I think that these guys, based on what I'm hearing tonight, this is just tonight, you know, obviously have a deeper knowledge. They haven't been brainwashed to the extent that we have. They probably absolutely have a deeper knowledge of touching and tapping into our spiritual sides that apparently I believe the government don't want us to know.
Of course not.
That's right. I agree. That's what I'm saying. What could we learn from them?
Amazing. I live in LA, so I'm probably not going to see one. I mean, you know, unless he's on Crenshaw or something like that. But here's the thing. Now when I go up to Big Bear, which I do often, we have a cabin up there. Now when I go up there, I might go out into the woods at night. I don't know about that part.
Try it.
On that part, man.
You don't even have to do it at night, though. You don't even have to do it at night.
Huh?
I said you don't even have to go at night. Most of my encounters have happened during broad daylight. So you don't even have to do it at night.
Oh.
I'd be most scared if I saw that white one. If I saw that white one at night, I'd be.
Hey, Brian, listen, Brian, I would be out there before you, brother. I would be gone if I saw that. If my flashlight flashed up and I saw that white thing, man, please, I'm out. I'm out, show. Hey, but thank you for taking my call. We got more callers, I'm sure. You guys, thanks for doing the good work. Literally, it helps, you know, keep this movement moving forward of truth. And I think all of this stuff is culminating to something where it's going to be revealed. We're going to know exactly who we are and what we're here for. And that in itself is like, that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to that shit. That's going to be dope when we get to know who we are and why we're here. And so thank you guys for pushing that movement.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
You're welcome. You guys have a good night.
You too.
Continue to listen offline. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. All right.
That's what's up.
That is what's up. We've talked about this before. 978-435-0006. Give us a call. Ring ding dong. Ring a ding 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 dong.
Bigfoot talk.
Bigfoot talk in the house. 978-435. There we go. And I can only let the first one through, guys. You're out with Brian and Karen. Who's this?
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Danny Pepper, California.
Hey.
What's going on, guys?
Not much.
Good. How are you? You got a big story?
Good, doing great. I just wanted to call in because I've had some experiences living where I live up here.
Nice.
So basically, I live up in like by the Humboldt County, Trinity, Siskiyou, Shasta County area, the Emerald Triangle. So I grew up every summer going to Eureka and visiting my uncle and seeing my cousin that's only 5 months apart from me. We'd get together for 2 weeks every summer growing up, you know. And they lived on like the outskirts right out of Eureka, but it's still like backed up by a ton of forest out there. You know, it's beautiful. And my first encounter as a kid, we there's a neighbor that used to have this cannon, and he would shoot bowling balls out of it. And if we could find him out there, he'd give us like $5, you know? So we're about 13 years old. We just had our pellet guns. I remember we're going to go out in the, you know, down the trails and see if we can find a bowling ball, you know? So we're walking down the trail. We get back not too far off, you know, you don't got to be that deep in the woods, you know, like you're saying. And, we're walking up on this trail. I remember a bunch of California quail underneath the bush off to the left. It was like went down a ravine, and then on the right side of us, there was a pretty big tree. And then the hill went up on that side, and we were walking on like a trail that split the ravine. And we were almost to the quail, I'm talking 15, 20 feet. And this thing jumps out. It was like it was hiding behind the tree. It jumps out like across the trail we're walking on, like if you were to dive into a pool. And I remember we smelled something because me and my cousin were walking up, and I looked at him. I'm like, who shit their pants, you know? And we were kind of laughing at it. And that's when we stopped laughing. We looked up, something jumped out, and it was between a bear or like a huge mountain lion, but like it was black. I'm thinking as a kid of Black Panther, but you don't have those over in Eureka, you know? Mm-hmm. And we turned around, right away, we were out, dude, gone. Like, I remember running just for my life and going, oh, I feel bad because I'm a big dude. I was like, I know I was going to beat my cousin, you know? I'm like, I felt bad for him, but I know he had me long distance, but I had him sprinting. So I remember that going through my mind going, fuck, he's either going to get him right now or he's going to get us across this ravine and I'm going to burn out, you know? And we were out, right? And so we get back, we were like, what the fuck was that? We couldn't process it, you know, like, what was that, you know? So the next thing that happened was we went to sleep that night, and we're in the back room, and we wake up in the middle of the night. My cousin wakes me up. Something's in the back window, kind of like growling. And he's like, did you hear that, dude? I'm like, no. And then like right when I get up to get something, I hear a ruh. Like it took off and it ran off. We hear this big old like loud footsteps, doosh, doosh, you know, like taking off through the backyard. And I tell you what, I was too scared to pull back those curtains and look out that window, bro. Like, I didn't want to be face to face with something, but that was a trip. And then, you know, later on thinking about it now, I'm like, a bear or lion, like, wouldn't come back and stalk us and come check on our window like later that night, you know? So that was my personal experience as a kid with one. Besides growing up around here, you can't get away with not hearing experiences. You know, my dad's had one, friends have had them, you know, stuff like that. So.
Wow. You actually just reminded me of when I was sitting here when I had first moved in this house one night, and I was sitting here alone, and I thought I heard growling outside my front door. Now,
yeah, I mean, scary. You know what I mean? We're 12, 13, dude. I remember having our pellet guns out there, and I just got them. I remember thinking, this is just gonna piss this thing off or whatever. This ain't gonna do shit. But I remember we stopped that. We didn't fall asleep for the rest of the night, just with our guns in our hands in our bedrooms, just scared, you know. But we didn't know, you know, we didn't know what the fuck it was. But it didn't like, you know, try to harm us. And it tried to like, it's like almost like we startled it, and it tried to jump and like run away, you know. And we were out. I mean, we turned around 180 and we were gone. Like, I've never ran that fast in my life.
That'd be me, bro. That'd be me. I'd be out. I don't care. I'm a coward when it comes to me facing.
I was out, dude, to try like. Oh man! And then another, probably recently within the last 4 years, not me personally, but I met one of my dad's friends right after he had an experience, and I got the emotion and the look on the face, like, you know what I mean, when the dude just got scared, you know. And he went up in the Trinities. He would go camping off this little spot off the river, you know. And he's like this construction worker, tough dude, you know, like. His hands could pick up a burning pot in the campfire. You know what I mean? Like just one of those dudes. And he said he was hearing this like whistling, this howling on the riverbank. And he went kind of going around and something scared him. He's like, then he said he was going to go, I better grab the shotgun. When he said that and he turned around, something threw a boulder. I'm talking, he said 200-300 pounds, like so big that threw it into the river, like towards him, and it splashed in the water like be doing a cannonball into a pool, you know. He said it was huge, and he turned around
grabbed his wife, jumped in her truck, burned out of there, dude, left all his camping gear, everything. He's like, I was out, dude. Like, so, and I'm looking at this girl, like, going, really? Like, you wouldn't imagine this guy, and he's like, you see on his face, he wasn't sticking around to figure out what this threw something 300-pound boulder into the river right next to him, So that was pretty crazy.
Wow. And where were these again? In California? Yeah.
But yeah, what's that?
I said, where were these experiences again in California?
Mine myself is Northern Cal, way north, like Eureka was mine, and then in the Trinities mountains, it was with the boulder with the guy, and then my dad's growing up just out, same thing, just in the foothills around here. Like Mount Shasta's huge for that, I can look out my door and see Mount Shasta right now. Like all the mountains up here, I can't drive 45 minutes to go into a town. And they got Bigfoot things, I can have a Bigfoot burger at a place. You know what I mean? It's real popular up here.
Yep. I know. That's actually where I grew up, is in California, but I never had any experiences there, which is weird because that's like a known area for it. But if you look up sighting maps, though, there's just as many, if not more, sightings here in the Appalachian area than there are in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, the Sierra Nevadas around there. That's why I was wondering. You kind of answered some of the things. Like I was wondering if I came over where you were, if they would know that I hadn't seen one before or something. It's just weird. I was thinking that, and you kind of answered that. Like if one knows, they all know. Yeah. And then I've had like my buddy's dad say like two other instances of just sightings. One was just on a fishing boat trolling down. Like he cast out and he just saw one on the bank, like real peaceful. He even waved at the thing, and it did nothing. And then another hunter saw one, but when he said he drew a gun on and went to shoot, and when he did, the thing disappeared. Like he said, it didn't just move, it vanished. Like you can't kill them. That's like we were saying. Like that's trippy, but those are just my buddy's friends,
Yeah,
so those are the closest experiences I know of.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that you cannot kill a Bigfoot. No man can kill one. I don't think that's possible. I don't think we know how.
And knowing these stories, and then like I said, I'm a truther. I went deep into studying, Bigfoot, not deep, but like looked into it for a while and figured more stuff out on him. When I read up more about him, what I read about him coincided with the stories I've heard. That, like I said, you almost can't avoid knowing about Bigfoot where I'm at.
Yes, awesome.
Cool. Well, anyway, I just want to call in. I'd love to. I can't talk on your chat because for some reason I'm blocked on there since that Owen thing, but I wanted to call in and say hi, show my love. I'm listening.
What's your channel that's blocked?
My name's Danny Pepper, but it happened during when you were on Owen was live during the Flat Earth conference. A bunch of trolls came in. I haven't been able to answer anything on your personal site since. Like I type it and it just disappears. So. But you looked into it once and said I wasn't on the block list. So I don't know. I just took it as Google doesn't want me and you to talk.
That's weird. Yeah, I thought I did look in there before and I didn't see your name in there, but I'll look in there again.
Yeah, you can. I just mentioned I'm into this topic and I would have loved to say a few things, but I'm like, I'll call in when I get a chance. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, thanks for calling, and I'll check and see if you're still blocked. But I don't know what's up with that.
I don't know. It's all good, guys. Thanks for the show. I'm sure there's other guys that want to call in, so I'll be listening.
All right, awesome. Thank you for calling.
All right, guys, have a good one.
You too.
Hang on a second. I just got to ban somebody from your chat, and then I'll turn the ringer on. Just like I said, guys, he'll come right back in with another account. Screw Tana Chop. Don't let him in here. Just keep banning him. He made videos about me being a shill. We don't need that. All right, ringers are back on. 978-435-0006. Give us a call. A lot of good calls tonight. People really want to talk about this, Karen.
Good. We should want to talk about it. You know what? It's really a shame because, when I first came into Flat Earth, people told me I made Flat Earth look stupid by talking about Bigfoot. But if I went into a Bigfoot group and started talking about flat Earth, they would all say the same thing to me. You were making us talking about flat Earth. It's really
that's one of the biggest reasons I won't take any label from anywhere because of that type of attitude, plus all the assholes in all the communities. That's the exact reason why. Hey, you're on with Brian and Karen. Who's this?
Oh, hey, Brian. Hang on a
Hey,
second.
who's
We
this?
get out of the room here. It's Ceiling Fan.
What's up, Ceiling Fan? You got some Bigfoot stuff on your mind?
Oh my God! Once again, you guys, Karen, you're blowing our mind. Just like every night, it seems like you're talking about things that we're experiencing. I mean, we live out where we have property, and we've seen it all. Orbs. There's this one tree that I've always looked at, and I keep always telling my wife, just this one area of the tree vibrates. Looks like it's fuzzy. So I'm gonna try to see if I can get some video of that.
Like we were
we've
talking
had a
about in the
broken
video
tree.
earlier? The tree like we were
What's
showing
that?
in the bush, like the tree we were showing earlier that Karen was talking about?
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't as obvious as that.
Yeah.
It's more like it's just a very light vibration. So it's hard to focus on this one area of the tree. It's really bizarre. But we've also had experiences where they've run by and smacked the side of our shed at night. And a couple of our kids have experienced that. And then the thing with the owls, we get owl sounds all the time, and some of them are really weird. And every once in a while, it sounds like a screaming woman out there. In fact, a few times we were going to go out there, and then kind of decided against it. But the thing that's really tripping me out is that you were discussing, you know, I'm looking into all these different things now that they've made us afraid of over the years, you know, all the sphere porn and stuff. You know, Brian woke me up to the whole 9/11. And then now we're looking at, you made a comment, because I'm like, how does she know if they're good or bad? And then you said the government always wants to capture or kill them, whatever. They tell us they're bad at every, you know, it's always think mirrors. Everything's the opposite. So why wouldn't they be good and hunt it and hide from us? It makes perfect sense.
Exactly.
So, like I told you, we're actually going to go out tomorrow because we know areas that we've seen them mostly, and I'm going to leave some gifts there and give them, you know, let them know that we're willing to talk. I mean, I'd love it if we're on the same team, you know? They teach us that they're not when you watch all those other conspiracy things about Bigfoot.
Absolutely. They make them look like big scary monsters, like they're going to hurt you. But there's no documented case of a Bigfoot ever hurting or killing a human.
Right? Even that 411 book, we've had it forever in our house. In fact, nobody remembers buying it. But that always kind of like hinted maybe it was Bigfoot. But we also had a really weird experience too with one. We were listening to Steve Quayle one night, and he was talking about Nephilim and how Bigfoot might be the same thing or whatever. And then we had a pipe burst right as we were watching that. And we went down to the area of the property where it broke. And it honestly looked like it had been stepped on. And so we were making a comment that, you know, oh, see, the Bigfoots are evil. They didn't want us learning about them and all that. Well, now I flipped the script around, and maybe they were like, you know what, that's garbage you're watching. And they did that to make us stop. And so now we're going to try it this way. I'd rather be friends than not, you know?
Exactly.
So, you got anything that you'd recommend to take them? I mean, we have a little crystal I'm bringing them. You got any ideas? Or the chat?
A lot of people say that they like baked goods because they can't bake. That's one thing that they can't do is get anything baked or made of bread. So.
Okay.
Bake Bigfoot some cookies.
Right.
Bigfoot fucking care package. I love it.
Give them some cookies.
Yeah.
Some
and you know what?
Some Budweiser.
We started farming. We started farming near there, and so I set up a game cam, and it was brand new. And I turned it on. The very first night, we saw a cat walk by in the infrared. It was awesome. And then it never worked after that. And the only things that we ever see on it is usually us walking down there and back. It never catches anything at night anymore. And so I was thinking what you said, maybe they have this use of electricity because I think they fried the infrared on it. It's never worked, and it was a brand new camera.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Again, you keep freaking me out when you say things about, we've experienced the owls, we've seen orbs, we've seen all of that. Yeah, and one of my sons has actually seen it. That's where we're going to go to that tree to put the gifts so we can think of. And try to, I don't even know how do you communicate? I mean, did they speak Aramaic? I mean, what are they talking?
Well, that's what, like, if you listen to some of those podcasts where people communicate, they say, if you go out there, and this one guy, he was saying that he waits until he actually feels the presence of them, and he just starts talking to them like they can hear him or like they're right there. And I've even done that in my woods. I've gone out there and I've actually just started talking. I mean, it's like I'm talking to myself, and I feel kind of weird doing it. But one time actually, when I talked about where I felt the vibration from my neck down, was a day when I was doing that. I was just talking to them.
All right. Well, I'll definitely keep you posted on this. And then real quick, one last thing, Brian. So it's kind of to be careful what you wish for. My dad calls me last night and says, "Hey, do you know who Brian Staveley is?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's actually the guy I was just talking to about you guys." And now they're watching that stream that I talked about them. So
which stream?
He did mention you curse a lot. So, my mom's listening now. So, cool it just a little on Karen's channel at least. Anyway.
That's funny.
Everybody's listening. I love it. It's about friggin' time.
Yeah. It's happening, man. It's really, people are waking up.
Yeah.
And that mouse on the SpaceX, I showed it to one of my kids, and he wasn't ready to accept it, but I showed it to my mother-in-law. Boom, she hit it immediately. She's like, "Oh, come on, it's a mouse." I mean, how do you not see it's a mouse?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. They mock us. They just mock us. They think we're just completely stupid. Like, oh, it's a mouse, but what does it matter?
You said they asked you if you knew who I was. Well, how did they randomly find me? I mean, you must have sent them a video or something. Like, how'd that work out?
No, this is a trippy thing. So I did show them videos, okay, but my mom said that she got something on her news feed that was a video I had never even watched. And it was about how, I think it was Taboo Conspiracy 2, and it was a video about how humpback whales prove flat Earth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she accused me of sending it to her, and I haven't even seen this video. So I don't know. You know how our electronics all seem to kind of like start connecting to things that happen in our life. So, but she sent it to me, and then of course, I guess I've sent them videos, so now they're locked in, so they see your name and Karen's now too. So
nice.
But yeah,
awesome.
All right. Well, great talking to you guys. We'll love the show. Keep listening. So thanks again.
Yeah, great. Thank you for calling.
You bet. Okay. Have a good night.
You too.
You get some couple of huge super chats there too. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys are liking this. It makes me happy that you guys are liking this. Never knew I'd be interested in this topic, especially with all the other chaos going through my brain 24/7. But this is a great and much needed break from the rest of the BS from Lieutenant 1111. Thank you, sir. All free people, all people, free people. Pacific Northwest loves Bigfoot. Thank you for that. You guys are awesome. I'm glad you guys are into it. I'm glad we've had a pretty good amount of viewers the whole time we've been on. So I'm glad that you guys are into this and you're open to it and that you're enjoying the stream. It makes me happy.
We had between 300 and 340 the entire time.
Excellent. Excellent.
That's a ton of people. Ton of people.
Yeah, we shouldn't be afraid to talk about this stuff. We shouldn't be afraid to talk about anything. You know, it should all be open for discussion. So,
yep.
Good.
A lot of stuff goes back on the table now. Now that you know what I mean. Pretty much everything until you eliminate it one by one. Honestly.
Yeah.
All right, be calling. 978-435-0006. Phone lines are open. 978-435-0006. I ate a whole meal, and I will need to smoke a little bit of this in a second. So, what do you want to do? Do you want to address the chat, or do you want to take a break? Because once I go outside, I can't run the phones for a couple minutes.
Yeah, just
So,
leave the phones off, and I'll talk to Chad. It's fine. I'm too happy here talking about this stuff. I don't want to go anywhere.
yeah, people are engaged, and everybody in the chat will have some questions. We'll mix it up. So, talk to the chat. I'll be back in 5 minutes, and then we'll do the phones again.
All right. Zal Moxa says this is an important piece of the puzzle we're looking for. I agree. So Jeff says Bigfoot may be real, but it doesn't directly affect us like other stuff. I disagree with that. I think it affects us greatly, just as much as flat Earth, in fact. Patricia Steer. Hey, what's up, Patricia? Karen B, remember when you were on my old show and you and I got trashed with multiple hit piece videos because you dared mention Bigfoot? Yes. We actually talked a lot about Bigfoot when I was on your show, Patricia. I remember that. We talked about it quite a bit. And yeah, that's when all the Bigfoot jokes started coming in about me. You know, but it's okay. I don't care. I don't care. Whatever. It says more about them than it does about us, right, Patricia? BF belief is 50-50 in most crowds, methinks. Michael J. Smith. Oh, maybe. I don't know. Any other comments? Let me read 2 comments. Let me do a shout out to chat. I haven't done a shout out to chat yet. Scooter Orr is the biggest smile you have seen. Oh yeah. Have I been smiling a lot? Maybe, because I like talking about this stuff, because this is I really believe that this is a huge piece of the puzzle and that we could learn a lot from this. And I like that other people are getting into it. And I like that people are open to it, because the more of us that are into it and the more of us that are open to it, the bigger line of communication there is between us and them. So let me do a shout out. Aisling717, Cammy. Bigfoot loves Cammy. Oh my goodness. Sandra Woods, love you, Karen. Love you too. Thank you. Ping-a-ling-ding. I've always found it strange that people get offended by Bigfoot, right? Oxbow's Spirit, Peter Birdsall, Doug Nordley, Fast Pace 33, Fast Teddy Flat Ted, Musicians for Truth, Cuz of a Kaz, I Am High Degree, Quaalude Charlie, Apple Pie Plane, Robbie Turbo, Lunderground's here, Dank, Adrian Quintana, Carla Redpill, Message in a Bottle, Doc Michael, The Truth Seeker 69, Zal Moxis, Green Queen. Do you guys ever sleep? No sleep on Flat Earth. Are you kidding me? Scooter Orr, All People Free People. Kirsten Springer, been here the whole time. Thank you for joining the stream, my dear. Who else is here? Jeff Ducci? I'm not sure how to say that. I want to say Dutchy, because I don't want to say douche, because it sounds like douche, and I don't know if that's right. Anomaly Cloud. Iron FE. Lieutenant 1111. I like your name, 1111. I say 1111 every day. Bob Man Bob. Tom. Christopher Millington, Deaf Bread. Didi Lyarmbar. Well, that's a weird name. It's hard to say. I apologize. I butchered that, I'm sure. Fifi the Butterfly. Hello. Wizlaws. Thomas Knight. Rich Flat. Christopher Lees. Dreams in Digital. Sun, Awakened Narrative. Thanks for calling earlier. Okay, I'm gonna go back down to the bottom. Zulu One. Hey, what's up, Zulu One? Thanks for joining. Hi, Fruity You. Hi, Fruity. Darren Wagner. Hello. Rob Skiba talks about Bigfoot. I haven't heard Rob talk about Bigfoot. He probably thinks they're Nephilim and that they're evil. There's a lot of Christians that they're bad, but they're not. They just need to go out and talk to them. Steve Finneran. Hello. John Carnes. ECD14U. Space Drum Symphony. Josh from Oregon.
You are smiling a lot. You can tell you're happy doing the show. It's good.
Yeah, it's great.
You've been glowing all night.
Yeah, we love the Bears. Bears are welcome here.
Phones are open, by the way, guys. As Karen can continue the shout outs, but the phones are open so you guys can start calling.
I think I shouted most people out. Wise Up. I don't think I said that. Surfer Not. Cool name. Pierre Jutras. Chris from Indiana. Thanks for calling earlier. Good Vibes and Good Flower 420 NJ. I feel like I've waited my whole life for this stream. Love it. Makes me happy. I've been into Bigfoot for at least 20 years now. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, right?
Oh, that's awesome comment.
Fair Bear. Robert Owens. Hello.
Hey, you're on with Karen and Brian. Who's this?
Good evening, Brian and Karen. How are you?
Good. How are you? Hello.
Yes. This is Steady. Ted.
Hey, how's it going?
You're coming in really loud, really hot, really loud.
I'm really loud right now?
Yeah, in your background, you can hear the ringing going on in the background, too. You got to turn the volume off.
Sure. Hold on a second. Let me turn down my everything. Let me turn down my everything. How about now? Am I okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're on the headset. Well, am I okay now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best, but we can hear you.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to. Okay, I have it. Okay. All right. I haven't seen any Bigfoot or any of that sort of thing, but first time I ever heard about it, I was a little kid and living in Northern California. That was like one of the things that stuck with me because of the first footage back then. The what is it called? The Gimler footage photographs.
Mm-hmm. Patterson Gimlin film. Yes.
Yes, exactly. He took the picture from the horse, and well, first time I ever saw that as a kid, when I saw a documentary on that, I was, and it wasn't that much after because I was born in '68, so when they were talking about it, it was in the '70s, so I was like maybe 9 or 10 at the time, and I was always captivated by it, as an adult. You realize that usually when these stories come out about things, there's usually a root base to it, like some truth there,
Yes.
Yep.
So I've always been fascinated. I still to this day watch documentaries and I'm always interested in seeing what new has come out about it. And whenever I hear the topic, my ears perk up. So when I heard that Karen had a story, I was like, yesterday I said, "Hey, is Karen coming on tonight?" And then Karen came on yesterday on the couch saying, "No, that's tomorrow at 8 o'clock." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So it's definitely one of those topics that have always been close to my heart, based on there's way too much evidence, too many witnesses, that sort of thing. I actually went to Mount Shasta probably when I was married, my ex-wife. We went to Mount Shasta probably about 15 years ago, maybe. And we went there hoping that maybe we would be able to, see or hear a Bigfoot, but we didn't.
Yeah.
Her sister lives up in Mount Shasta. It still does to this day, her youngest sister. Anyway, that's what I wanted to call. I just love the topic. It's so interesting. So interesting.
Absolutely.
And of course, and of course, what you were saying about the predator thing, how it looks like it's invisible, but you can still see it, just like in the movie Predator.
Mm-hmm.
A while back, I heard a podcast where it was a Bigfoot topic, and a woman called in and she described what you're describing, and it was pretty amazing. But also involved in the description was lights in the sky, orbs, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
What she was describing. So, I mean, my thought on it was that it's that they are probably otherworldly. You can't kill them. Maybe natural disasters might be able to hurt them, based on the Mount St. Helens event. That supposedly a whistleblower came out and was talking about some got injured, and they actually communicate with them. They know that they're there, the military, and they're not malevolent. They are benevolent. They're good. They're not evil. They're not bad. And they were going from one home, a nest, or whatever you call them, one after another, with one of them inside the Jeep, from one to the next, checking on their whereabouts. And it was pretty sad what the guy was describing. But I think you're right that men can't kill him. In fact, Mark Sargent, his theory is like a game character. They're there and they exist in in and out of our realm, that sort of thing, and you can't hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I think it's really cool, and the fact that you witnessed them. I mean, I think you're a highly credible person, and so I mean that's pretty cool, man. I'm actually talking to somebody, because I've never talked to anybody that actually seen them, is aware of them. It's a normal occurrence for you, that's pretty cool. That is really cool, Karen.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And yeah, it's, I totally lost my train of thought, but yeah, I have seen them, and it's a trip. It's a trip to see them. It's definitely a trip. And once you learn how to spot them, you'll see them more.
Oh yeah, that's right. I wanted to touch on that. Of course, you've heard of David Paulides, the 411 missing thing. He said exactly what you just said right now. He said, once you know what to look for, and say like you go to a wooded area, it doesn't have to be deep, like you're saying. He said, once you know what to look for, and he says, and they definitely know you're there when you're coming. He says, you can spot them. You can actually spot them. So he's verified also that they're a real thing. They're a real creature, what they are. No one knows, I mean, so anyway. Yeah, he goes in depth on the Bigfoot stuff, because he's done a lot of research on that. You've heard of that, right? The David Paulides 411 missing.
Yeah. But he thinks that they kidnap people, but there's really no evidence for that. I don't think that Bigfoot is responsible for missing people.
Right. Yeah. That's what it's based on. His books are based on the abductions, how many people are actually going missing every year in these state parks, and how the state parks are covering them up and all that sort of thing. If you've read any of his stuff or heard any of his seminars, it is pretty much, but there's no telling what's actually taking these people. I mean, him pointing at Bigfoot as being responsible for it, it's not necessarily accurate. Something's doing it, but it doesn't necessarily mean Bigfoot's doing it.
Exactly. And I think there are other things too in the realm, like those other cryptids that are, hold on, that people report seeing. They could be the ones doing it, and you never know. But there's not very much known about those other things that people report seeing. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there could be good, there could be bad. Like somebody was just on talking about different tribes. Obviously, tribes throughout history, human tribes, there's good tribes and there's bad tribes, you know? You can't go into the jungles of Brazil and 100% guarantee that you're going to come out alive, because there's tribes in there that eat people. So there you have it. There's that, right?
Right.
And those are just other humans. So it doesn't necessarily mean Bigfoot's responsible for these missing people year after year, that sort of thing. It is staggering the amount of people that go missing in these like Yosemite or Yellowstone. Yeah, there's all kinds of missing people, and then no one knows about it except obviously the families. Anyway, I appreciate it. It's really good. It's really great listening to what you guys are talking about. I've enjoyed it. I've been listening to it since you guys came on, and for me, it was just after work, so it's perfect. You know, here it was 5 o'clock in California, Sacramento.
Yeah, awesome.
Very cool. Anyway, hey, you guys have a good night. Oh, the last thing I want to say is the term Nephilim, it's a derogatory term if that's what people are putting towards Bigfoot, because the Nephilim, that doesn't even exist anymore. It was something that existed pre-Noah's flood, the flood of the world type thing, So I don't know why people keep saying that Nephilim, because that's actually the middle generation. First it was the giants, then their offspring was the Nephilim, then their offspring was what's called the Eliud, which is the mixture of animals, angels, human, hybrid type thing. So if anything, it would be the Eliud, but that I don't think so either. I've researched a lot of that stuff. So yeah, I think people need to stop saying the Nephilim thing, because that doesn't even come into play.
Yeah, I think people are just trying to look for an explanation that is inside their scope of knowledge already. So I think that's why they try to apply that, rather than, because a lot of people, they're not comfortable saying, I don't know what something is, and we truly don't know what they are 100%. And that's another reason why it's good to try to open up that line of communication, because they're the ones who can tell us what they are and where they're from.
Right. And what Brian said earlier is like you box yourself in when you're just so stuck on it has to be this. There's no other explanation. Yes, there's other explanations. We just don't know it. Mm-hmm. But people, just like Brian says, don't box yourself in. Don't stay in one lane. Branch off.
Yep.
I agree with that 100%. That's why I'm all over the map, just like any good skeptic or researcher. You go where the truth leads you. It doesn't matter where it leads you. You just go,
Exactly.
And you learn what you learn, along the way.
Yep.
Exactly.
I don't understand the one topic guys and the one topic girls. It's just they're so narrow minded. It's just like they're not any better off than being asleep, honestly.
Right. I was listening to that guy talking about Billy Shears. His whole life is based around the guy that took over for Paul McCartney, and that's all he talks about. It's like, get over it, dude. The only Paul McCartney I've ever known is Billy Shears, and who cares? That's what he was there before I was even born. As far as I'm concerned, he is Paul McCartney. But that's just my opinion.
Well, if you're talking about Mike, he talks about some other stuff too. I like Mike a lot.
He talks about everything.
But you know what I'm talking about. He's just like really on that Billy Shears thing, right?
Yeah, but
it's good because I learned a lot when I listened to him. I learned a lot. A lot of things I didn't know, and I think it's cool. But as far as I'm concerned, though, it's like Paul McCartney's Paul McCartney. whether he's Billy Shears or not doesn't make a difference. He was there. He came around in 65 or 6, took over for Paul McCartney when he supposedly died in a car crash. And it's like, but that's the only one I've ever known. So what difference does it make, right? For me anyway, right? See, there you go. There's another subject, right? I'm not staying in the same lane. It's like you go all over, whatever just, checking out, smell the roses, man. Don't stay in the same lane. Anyway, it's really great. All right. You guys have a good night. Thanks for letting me call in. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a good night.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, well, that's Mike's passion, but he talks about a lot of other stuff.
He does talk about a lot of stuff. Actually, yeah, Sage of Quay was one of the channels that I started watching first as far as like truther channels or, fringe topic channels. That was one of the first ones that I watched because he talked about a bunch of different things and I just wanted to hear about all of it. I wanted to hear all about all of it.
Yeah, like Patricia said, maybe she's talking about a different other fall research. I just don't know any of the other ones really,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but I did a Mandela Effect show. Mike interviewed me on his channel on the Sage of Quay for a Mandela Effect interview. And then I had him over here and we did a whole Flat Earth / Beatles Paul McCartney show. And that was one of my best shows. That show was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Back on soon. He's got he said you were going to go on his show. He wanted to interview you soon. I remember he said that. Remember I told you that.
You told me that, but I haven't heard from him yet. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, but he had some things to wrap up. It was like supposed to be sometime in January. It wasn't like, hey.
Okay, well, I'm here whenever you're ready.
All right, somebody call in 978-435-0006. 978-435-0006. Give me a ring, ding dong. Anybody want to call in? Anybody have any questions in the chat? I'll quickly plug in. Go ahead. Look at the chat. Guys, I got so tomorrow at around 11 a.m. or at noon, I will premiere the brand new interview I just gave today, Mandela Effect interview. It was a really good one. And then we got into 9/11 a bit at the end as well. So that's brand new. We'll do that with the live chat tomorrow. And Saturday morning at 10 a.m., Robin, Lifting the Lid, I'll be interviewing him on his personal awakening. So that's what I got planned. Yeah, see, look at Natalie. It says Mike's the one that introduced me to your channel. It's awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed that show with Mike. Mike's awesome. He puts a lot of stuff on his website, too, about a lot of topics. So shout out to Sage of Quay. Make sure you sub and bell that channel if any of you guys are not. And he has like 3 or 4 channels because he goes through a lot of censorship as well. So make sure you hit them all up.
Outcast, Happy New Year. Love is a Bigfoot, red pill, technically a suppository. I mean, it is a big pill. That's funny. I can laugh at that. Look up the images from Discovering Bigfoot documentary on Netflix. Does it seem to you that Remy can always see BF or dogs in general? Yeah, I think he sees it or senses it. Like I said, he was barking at my back door that one night, just going crazy. And then I walked out there and I saw one. So, yeah. Is Lifting the Lid here? If he is, hey, what's up, Robin?
No, he's not here, but I just plugged the interview. His interview.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we're talking about him.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Did you turn off the ringer or is nobody else calling? Is that the end of it?
I'm just waiting for calls, but I don't know.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can always wind it down to we've been streaming for
almost
4 hours. Wow.
Yeah, let's shut the phones off and let's get last minute roundup thoughts from you and last minute questions from the chat. So what else about it do we need to, that we haven't discussed really?
Gosh, I don't know. There's really so much to this too. But I really encourage people to go check out Team Squatchin USA channel and listen to the testimonies of people there, especially about their encounters and the healing, because they really a lot of people say that they were healed by them. And also Sasquatch Chronicles. So here, let me put some links in the channel or in the chat here. So Team Squatchin USA, this is the guy who researches and they have a really big open discussion. They habituate with the clan. They talk about everything, all of their abilities. Now, this guy, obviously he's not a flat earther. He's, not going to discuss that stuff. But as far as like his Bigfoot research, it's pretty solid. So that's one of the best channels I recommend. And then also to listen to podcasts and stuff about people's stories and their accounts. This is a really good channel right here. Sasquatch Chronicles. Has there been any information given to people about the nature of reality? Not that I can think of offhand. But I haven't listened to every podcast. I haven't listened to every interview. There's also another guy. His name is Kiwani Lopseritis, and he wrote a book called The Psychic Sasquatch, and he talks about the mind speak, the telepathy, that sort of thing, the supernatural communication and abilities of these creatures. Let me see if I can find a link to him, because he's got kind of a weird name and most people probably don't. Let me see if I can find it.
When you ask what time Robin's show is tomorrow, I think it's usually at like either 11 a.m. or noon our time over here on the East Coast. Maybe noon, maybe 11 a.m. Start looking around that time.
Here's a playlist of Kiwani Lopseritis. And this guy, he's like Native American, but he has had a lot of interactions with them too. And you can watch some really cool interviews from him about the forest people. So yeah. Cheers, Quaalude Charlie.
All right. Well, I mean, if we're out of here, I guess we're out of here. I'm ready. I'm ready to crash.
Yeah, I was going to say, you probably are ready to get off the computer.
I really don't feel that well. So
I know you don't. You've been a trooper, though. You stuck out for almost 4 hours, so thank you. All right, everybody. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching the Ultimate Bigfoot Red Pill Show. Maybe we'll do a part 2 afterwards. If you watch something or you want to talk about something further, you can leave comments in the video, and we'll see if maybe we can set up a part 2 at some point, maybe in a few months. So as far as that goes, keep your open mind, y'all, and we'll see you later.
Yeah, and everybody, please, if you didn't already, please sub my channel if you don't know. And me and Karen do a ton of shows over there as well, so make sure you sub and bell, and the mods will help out with the link in the chat. And our links are in the show description, our emails, our YouTube channels, and D-Lives, and all that stuff for both me and Karen are there. And guys, I will see you guys in about 12 hours with a brand new Mandela Effect interview that I gave today that I think you guys will really enjoy. All right?
Awesome. Cheers, y'all.